car. Chicks dig the car.
This is why Superman works alone.
Good to see you all among the living. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talent Mix. It's a Smallville recap podcast normally, but now it's Zach.
No, not Smallville.
That's right. We have been watching the Batman series of films, making our way through the entire series. We are up to The Dark Knight, arguably. Many people might argue one of the best, if not the best, of the entire franchise. But before we dive too far into that, do you know what the most Batman thing you could do right now, you listening to this? Go to your podcasting app of choice. Give this podcast 5 stars. And if you want to be extra super Batman would leave a review. A nice extra super mega Batman in like a big robot would leave a nice review.
And you know what? If you don't rate, review, and subscribe, the Joker's going to blow up a hospital.
That's it.
So,
oh man, if a hospital blows up in between recording this and us releasing it, it's your fault. It was your fault. It was all your fault. You know that you did that.
The Joker's not going to tell you which hospital. That would be too easy.
That's it. Zach, this is a good movie. This is a good one. This is one of the big ones.
It is. And I think you alluded to this on your Letterboxd, but if you could watch a movie to death, then you and I have done that with this movie to the point where, you know, we watch it and the things that were so good about it don't have as much of an effect on us anymore. And
right.
But it's still good enough to see through that and be like, yeah, this movie fucking rules. It's
absolutely
so
bangs.
good.
It's absolutely so bangs. That's it. So to get to the point where I truly feel like if this movie was a dish rag, I've squeezed every bit of liquid joy possibly left in this fucking movie.
Yeah, it's true. At this point, we can only enjoy it on like an academic level. Like it's not like the visceral level of watching it.
But for a movie to get to that point, to have seen a movie so much that like it now you are now dulled to it a little bit, means it's pretty fucking good, my dude.
Totally. And this movie has complicated legacy through no fault of its own. It inspired a lot of morons. Would you say morons?
Yeah. Well, that's a good one. That's a good word.
A lot of people, for some reason, thought the Joker was the hero, and there's a lot of like, dude, bro, Nolan fans that came out of this movie that weren't great, and also there's a big backlash against this movie and a lot of Nolan's movies, where we're very critical of plot holes and logic and stuff.
Boring.
Right. Well, that stuff is only a problem if you view this as a gritty crime drama and not a pulpy comic book story, which is what it is.
Right.
There's a lot of talk of, oh, it's like Heat. It's not like Heat. It has the aesthetics of Heat, but it is so much closer to like a Spider-Man in terms of content.
It's very much, make no mistake, a fucking Batman movie. It is absolutely, to its core, a Batman movie. It just looks really good.
Yes, exactly. But
don't blame it on Wally for it looking real good.
It was never not absurd. So yeah, there are plot holes, and you and I are going to talk about them today because that's what we do on this podcast. But I don't think those make this movie worse. I don't think the silly plot logic. It's a comic book. It's a comic
and
book.
plot logic. I simultaneously am like, yeah, sure, it's fun to point out, it's fun to joke about. It doesn't make or break a movie. It really doesn't. If I'm sure I've mentioned it before, but Alfred Hitchcock has talked about the fridge door test. Of if you see a movie and you leave a movie going, wow, what a time at the movies I just had, incredible, totally swept away by the movie, and then later that night you go to the fridge, grabbing a midnight snack, and you're like, hang on, a moment in that movie didn't make sense. Hitchcock is like, doesn't count, doesn't matter, I got you.
Yeah,
if it took you till then, I got away with it.
That describes all of Nolan's stuff, pretty much,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like
and
amazing
I agree with
first viewing, and then you're like, hold on, you rascal.
Yeah, right. Like, no, you full arms up, got away with the heist. Like,
but also the only reason that people pay so much attention to that stuff is because a bunch of dude bro idiots, including you and me, probably.
Absolutely.
Like,
we do not exclude ourselves from that.
We're like, this movie is serious and important and dramatic. And like, it is dramatic and important in some levels, but it is a silly comic book movie to its core.
I remember specifically using the phrase like, the Dark Knight is art.
I mean, it is.
Yeah, buddy, of course it is. So was Batman and Robin, though.
Right, yes, yeah.
It's moving out of art as meaning it's good. Art is frequently dumb and bad.
To give you an idea of how dumb we were,
So dumb.
listener, you know, as the details were coming out about this movie before it came out, they released the runtime, and all of us dorks were like, oh my gosh, it's 2.5 hours long. There'd never been a superhero movie that was anywhere approaching that long, and it was like,
Right.
oh my gosh, this is serious.
It's
And legitimate, and people are, it's just, how can they do that?
I think this movie is partially responsible for something we're still dealing with, which is big and long equals prestigious and serious.
Yes, 100%. And how foolish we were. I mean, 2.5 hours, God, I would kill for a 2.5 hours
Yeah,
big
right.
budget movie these days.
Yes.
I saw Dune 2 today, and I was like, oh, fuck, man.
And you're still there. You're recording from the middle of Dune
Yeah,
2.
Like,
It's
Dark Knight is a tight movie compared to everything that comes out now. And it's just a real...
Yes. And gotta say, it's not that tight. It's not one of the things I would say about the movie. Like, think about Titanic. It was a famously long movie, about 3 hours. Had 2 VHS tapes at the time, which felt wild to me. That is a tight fucking screenplay.
Yes.
All
James
set up
Cameron, pretty good writer.
Pretty good, turns out. Dark Knight. I'm not saying I'd admit it'd be with a scalpel, not a hacksaw, but like there's some trimming you could do if you wanted to tighten it up.
Yes, but the thing about it is the pacing is breakneck. It is
1,000,000%.
Rivaled in the pacing, his movies. So even if it is kind of extraneous stuff, it's moving so fast, and it's so exciting that it's not until later that you're like, oh, that we didn't need to do that necessarily.
That's a very good way to put it. So typically how my mornings go is I get up with my daughter around 6:30. She plays and has breakfast for about 90 minutes, and then she goes down for a nap. Isn't that amazing? Like, you get up and you just have to fuck around for 90 minutes, and then an adult just comes and goes, you have to go back to bed. And she goes, no. I'd kill for that, because I'm like, you're gonna go back to bed because then I'm gonna go back to bed.
Yeah.
So I threw on Dark Knight while she was, playing around, and it was funny how like, oh shit, it's her nap time already. Like,
yeah.
it feels like I hit play and then 90 minutes fucking pass. I'm like, well, shit, I want to finish the fucking movie.
The second movie is about to start.
Yeah. right. So I think we should start at the very beginning. It's Batman Begins, reasonably successful.
It did really okay in theaters, not as great as they hoped, but really well on DVD. And
right. You and I meet in between these two movies.
Yes.
We of course went to school together. It was some function, maybe even like a welcome function, very early on in the year. We're at a cafe, the school's cafe, and I hear you maybe say something about Batman, or I say something about Batman, and you comment on it. And it was me like, and I'm so shy and didn't quite know how to make friends. And so you had just mentioned Batman. I'm like, I'm going to be friends with you.
Yeah. It was like, friends. I'm going
to make that happen.
I think like 50% of our friendship when we were in Canada was sharing tidbits that were leaking about The Dark Knight. Like,
yes.
Like, I remember you sending me the first photo that leaked of Heath Ledger in his makeup. Like, it was a makeup test or something.
And it was sort of obscured. I think this was like an intentional leak to go like, what? Because everyone was so... Let's talk about the casting of Heath Ledger. Christian Bale's obviously back. Chris Nolan is back.
Well, first of all, I remember the weekend it came out, there's an article in Entertainment Weekly. It might be the week after. That's like, who are they going to get to play the Joker? Because the movie ends with the Joker tease.
Right.
And so that was immediately conversation of, if they make another one,
right.
Who's going to play the Joker?
Right.
Because it was not a foregone conclusion they were going to make another one, believe it or not.
Very true. And
I mean, they were always going to make another Batman, but whether it was this iteration or not.
Right. I remember my corner of the internet was very like, it should be Mark Hamill, which probably would have been fun, but like that was going to happen. Come on.
The first name I heard, and this was the one in the article, was Al Pacino, because he had just worked with him on Insomnia. This is not like actual considered for the role. Right. This is Entertainment Weekly, talking.
Right.
I think they probably also wrote Robin Williams because he had worked on Insomnia with him too.
Right.
And everyone's thinking...
It's amazing Robin Williams never got in here somewhere.
I know. I remember an interview with him shortly around that time when they were like, would you want to play the Joker in Nolan's movie? And he's like, I've had my heart broken too many times. He's like, maybe Chris will let me play an inmate at Arkham. Like, I'd love to just be in the background. I mean, he would not have fit in the Nolan movies, but
no. Can I tell you something humiliating?
Oh, please.
I completely forgot about this. I am remembering this right now. Any actor I read, Zach, I took them into Photoshop and I would like Joker makeup them in Photoshop and like to get a look at it. Fucking virgin energy.
Oh, it's okay, Brian. We both did shit like that. Don't you worry. Listen, people. There was so little superhero content, even then, sort of at the dawn of the superhero era. We were starved. It wasn't the internet wasn't the same as it is now. There was less stuff. Sometimes you had to make it yourself.
And now, we shit on Marvel all the time on this show. But like the truth is, most of those movies in a vacuum average out to like a C or even a B minus. They're all fine. The problem is that over time, fine isn't fucking good enough anymore.
Yes,
it was
when
a real
it's the only thing that we're doing.
Right. Yes, these are the only movies we get, and it's the same as that last fucking one.
Yeah.
It was a real dice roll. It was going to be any good.
Yes. Yes. So coming out, they know everyone assumes they're going to do Joker because of the ending with Batman Begins. And the overwhelming consensus was, well, they can't top Jack Nicholson.
I remember people saying that. I worked at a movie theater at the time, and just the amount of like, it's not Nicholson, who cares? Like,
right. And people forget now because of Heath Ledger and probably because of Joaquin Phoenix and all that, but Jack Nicholson was the Joker.
yes.
For most people.
Yes,
It was
1,000,000%.
It was a totemic performance that everyone universally beloved. People who don't like that movie are like, yeah, but Nicholson was really good as the Joker.
Untouchable kind of was the general vibe.
Yes.
Just
and
why
now,
do it? Why do it? You can't touch it.
Right. And now it's like, oh yeah, Nicholson's good too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just cratered it.
Yeah.
Cratered it.
It's like some record in basketball they say is never going to be broken, and then someone breaks it by just astronomical numbers. It's just, oh man. So yeah, what other names were out there? I remember
Adrian Brody. I don't know how seriously this was.
No, I heard that. I mean, he does have the face. He's for like, if you're thinking of not Heath Ledger's Joker, but if you're thinking of the comic Joker,
right. Just, the generic platonic ideal of the Joker. Yeah.
Right. Who else? Who was the guy who's married to Jennifer Connelly? He's in the Marvel movies.
I don't know.
He's Vision.
Bettany. I do remember Bettany. Yes.
Yeah, Paul Bettany was in there.
He would have been fine.
Sure. No one would have been Ledger. It's just...
No. Do you remember when the Ledger news finally dropped? Do you remember your reaction to it? How you felt about that?
I remember it similar to when they were announcing all the Oscar people for Batman Begins. I remember being like, fuck yes, that's a legitimate actor, because he had just had the Brokeback Mountain, all the acclaim.
Right.
And if it had been before then, I probably would have been like, oh, the teen heartthrob guy.
That's kind of where I was. I didn't take Brokeback Mountain into account. Yeah.
Oh no, I was like, I bet that guy's going to do something interesting. I did not think it was going to be what it was, but I was like,
right.
That'll probably be good. Like, that's probably because, he had casted Gary Oldman as Gordon. That worked out really well.
Right.
I don't know. I just, I for some reason I thought that could work. That could work. But I do remember a lot of backlash.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I was like, on the internet mad about it, but I was definitely like, all right, well, now you have to prove yourself to me, a 17-year-old.
Meanwhile, he's like, I've never read a comic in my life. Who are you?
Yeah. No one.
And then, of course, like the first trailer comes out and it's a teaser trailer and there's no footage. It's just vocals, and you hear a little snippet of his Joker, and it's so weird that I think people are like, ooh, this might be really good.
Yeah. I remember, do you remember the I think even before we saw, I remember that leaked makeup test, which was heavily obscured. It gave you kind of the vibe, the ramshackle vibe, that the outfit would kind of have. And then there was this was a notable like viral marketing campaign, kind of early, using the, not like Blair Witch Project early back in 99, but a example of that, where there was a website called IBelieveInHarveyDent.com.
Yes.
And that's where the trailer dropped, because YouTube wasn't, if it was even a thing, it was not as ubiquitous as...
It was a thing, but it was in its infancy.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So you had to go to this website to see the trailer. And then 2 weeks after that, I Believe in Harvey Dent 2, TOO.com dropped. And that's where it was the trailer again, but it had been vandalized by the Joker.
It's so brilliant. It was a very surprisingly guerrilla ad campaign for the first part of it. Obviously, when it came the run up to it, then it was a lot more typical big budget campaign. But it was very viral. Yeah, like you're saying, like Blair Witch. That is how I got to see it early, because my buddy
Did see it early, and I was mad at you.
did the Harvey Dent, I believe in Harvey Dent puzzle or whatever, and
funny.
got the tickets. Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah,
I don't think I knew that. I don't think I knew that was why.
Oh yeah, I still have I don't know if I still have it, but I had a pin for a long time that says "I believe in Harvey Dent" that we got.
Funny.
Because, oh man, yeah, I can't tell you how fucking stoked I was to see it 2 days early or whatever.
You're right, and I was so fucking mad at you. And I don't remember your take to me, what you told me after you saw. I feel like you downplayed it a little bit.
Did I?
Which you are not. We are compared to me. You're a little subdued, and I'll be like, ah, and you'll be like, yeah, it was good.
I might have, just because I might have been vague because I didn't want to spoil anything for you, but I was fucking stoked on that movie coming out of it. I think my initial complaint or like knock on the movie was I wasn't sure about the Harvey Dent stuff.
Yeah.
That's still an area where we're going to talk about tonight, where I have some issues, but I'm much higher on it now than I used to be. But that was my only initial. I mean, I was blown away. I was like, I need to see this like again, like now, and I did 6 more times in theaters.
So many times. I've talked about that 100 times. I saw it every fucking night that weekend. Came out on Thursday night. I went Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then anytime we went to several IMAX theaters around the state. Yeah. Just any goddamn chance to see it.
So you sent me the Joker picture. My memory is that it was just his face in like a black background, and it was just the makeup test.
Oh, you're right. God, You're right. Oh my God, it just came back to me.
Yeah. And then you also sent me, I remember, the first leaked Two-Face, because it was not known that he was going to be Two-Face in the movie. Like, we knew Harvey Dent was going to be in it.
I remember. Was that?
Go ahead.
That doesn't sound right to me. I don't think unless what I sent you was wrong and like wasn't it. Because I remember seeing The Dark Knight and that being the first time I saw Two-Face.
Interesting.
But I don't imagine you seeing a leaked Two-Face and not sending it to me.
Exactly. Yeah, you would have seen it if I saw it, is what I believe.
Right. So I'm possibly just remembering it wrong.
Yeah.
But I remember I remember where I'm sitting and like the Two-Face moment, and like, so I don't know. Memory's fallible. Yeah.
But so stoked. I remember I was like, oh, when they said that Harvey Dent was going to be in it, I was like, I hope they get Liev Schreiber was in my head.
That's a good.
That's what I was like. That would have been really good. I guess he offered it to Matt Damon first.
That would have been interesting.
It would have been.
Matt Damon would have been too big. Too big.
Yes, but I think he would have bought Harvey Dent being this public hero a little more.
Sure, that's true.
And he might have been able to sell the dark side a little better. I like Aaron Eckhart. I like him in this movie, but we'll talk about it. But my big knock is I don't buy him making that turn.
I'm with you. Do you think that's a performance problem, or do you think that's a script problem? We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Probably both, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent, who is one of the 3 maybe central figures of this movie. One of the 3 obsessed men in this movie. Key place in Christopher Nolan's oeuvre of obsessed men. Speaking of obsessed men, Katie Holmes does not reappear in this movie. It's so the story goes that Katie Holmes just wasn't interested in reprising the role. She was interested in pursuing other projects. She had something she was interested in, which ended up being Mad Money, a PG-13 comedy, with like Diane Keaton, that no one has seen. I don't know if that. So
I also remember hearing that, and this could be total bullshit, but I also remember hearing Tom Cruise didn't want her to do it. I don't know where I heard it from.
Yeah.
So it could be absolute bullshit, but I remember having heard that.
Interesting.
At the time.
So Maggie Gyllenhaal is brought in to replace Katie Holmes as Rachel Dawes, Christian Bale.
And the thought from the general public was they replaced the one weak link in the movie with the much better actress. Was the thought.
Right, much better, right? And I was saying it too, much better, better.
That was my thought at the time going into it.
Gotta say, in 2024,
right? No, the thing is, what I know now as a hopefully smarter person is that the problem with the performance in both movies is not the acting.
Nope. It's Christopher Nolan and Jonathan Nolan sitting over a computer going, "What does girl say?"
Yeah. I mean, having said that, we have to compare the two.
Right.
I don't know if Maggie Gyllenhaal is better. I think she's up and down. I think there's a few moments she's really sells and really does well, but overall, I don't know.
I agree.
They have her saying some really awkward dialogue.
Yes. I am not at all proposing you and I could do any better.
No, but
as much as we look like Katie Holmes in Batman Begins, so it would be seamless visually, of course. But
the nicest thing they did to Rachel Dawes is put her out of her misery halfway through this movie.
It's. I don't think anyone during Dark Knight Rises had their arms crossed. Like, I missed the Rachel Dawes element.
No, and there's a moment in Dark Knight Rises where he looks at a framed picture of her, and it's Maggie Gyllenhaal, and I was like, would it be funny if they made it Katie Holmes? Or they just like,
yeah, right, or
there's
or
two
third
pictures.
Actress,
yeah.
So that reminds me, tangent time. I recently picked up. People, I don't know if they know this about me. I collect playing cards. I love classic playing card games. I love playing cards. Love them. I was at Target. I had seen them before. Theory 11 puts out really great. Zach knows this already, so he's already laughing. Theory 11 puts out these really great licensed high quality playing cards. They're not just like super like just cheap novelty license with like, it's got a picture of Batman on it. They have a really wonderful art department. Beautiful cards, beautiful quality cards, great for playing games and for magic tricks if you're a fucking dweeb. I say on my podcast where we talk about Batman.
Yeah, so chances are pretty good you're a fucking dweeb.
Mm-hmm.
Like us.
So the numbered cards are pretty standard. They have a slight little Batman like glint to them, but pretty standard, pretty recognizable as a regular playing card. It's the face cards that have like the King of Spades is Batman. The Jack of Hearts is Alfred.
Who's the Joker card?
We'll never know. I don't remember. I'll have to go look.
The look on your face.
Yeah.
Was like, what do you want me to do with that, man?
I don't know. Thanks for this. You just handed me 2 pieces of garbage. You just handed me 2 pieces of garbage. Just like, make those funny, huh?
Yeah.
Play with me. Play with me with this garbage. Like, Zach, this is garbage. I don't want to play with these.
Oh,
so, So of course the queens, the four queens of the deck have to be the ladies, and this is very Dark Knight trilogy specific, very the Chris Nolan movies specifically. So we have here Rachel Dawes. We have Catwoman from Rises. We have Talia al Ghul from Rises, and we seem to be out of girls.
They should have done like young Talia.
Yeah, right. Or Maggie Gyllenhaal's Rachel Dawes.
They should have.
So they should have done that, or the Two-Face card. He's one of the Jacks. The top image is him of as Harvey Dent, and then the bottom half he's Two-Face.
Yeah, they should have done that. Yeah,
they should have done that. So it's the Queen of Hearts specifically. I sent you a picture of it. Who the fuck is this supposed to be? It is a blonde woman, and I mean, we came up with who it must have been.
She's holding a ticket. That's the hint. And she's got a pearl necklace on.
Martha Wayne. Martha Wayne, who has like one line of dialogue in Batman
her only
Begins.
line is like, huh? Why are we leaving this play?
Why are we leaving the opera?
Oh, that's so damning for the Nolan movies. That is, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And I thought about it. I was like, oh, they could have put. Oh no, there's literally no one else. The ballerina from the Moscow Ballet.
Yeah, right. They may as well have put the fucking bat plane on there or something, or the Batmobile.
They should have just like done Poison Ivy or something, just like made up.
That's right. Oh, real bad. Because what would you do? What would you do?
Oh my god!
Just hope no one remembers that she's not mentioned in that movie after she dies.
And rarely before.
I don't even know if you're right. She's woman standing next to Thomas Wayne.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, they could have had, you know, who has more lines of dialogue is Jim Gordon's wife.
Yeah. God. You're right. Jesus Christ.
And her line is like, Jim.
So to be clear, the scowling right now from us is not at Theory 11, who made these playing cards that are fantastic. I highly recommend them. I've played Gin Rummy a lot with them already, but with Christopher Nolan.
And you know who else? You know who else we're scowling at?
Who are we scowling at?
People who enjoyed this podcast but don't rate or review or subscribe.
I fucking hate those people. Not enough that I think they should stop listening.
I hate you, but keep listening, please.
Keep listening. But we have an antagonistic relationship now. This is our new thing. This is our new middle of the show segment where we berate you. And we're mad at you now.
Oh, Brian, we're only a half hour. This is not the middle of the show. We got a couple more of these. We got a couple more of these segues we're going to do.
Okay, so next time we'll come back. We'll bring it back up a little bit. Be like, hey, sorry about earlier.
Yeah, apologize. Sorry, I got upset.
But I'm just hurt. Right now, fuck you. That's for later. Fuck you. Go to your fucking podcasting app. You fucking pizza eating.
It's right there. It's right there.
It's right there.
Your phone is right next to you.
You could do it right now. That's all we're asking. Yeah, I know we have a Patreon. Thank you so much for everyone who has subscribed to it. Thank you. You're incredible. We're never mad at you.
No notes.
We're not even asking for that. Just go to the little thing. You've hit the 5 fucking stars.
Stars.
Just fucking hit it. You literally, this whole segment, you could have done it 3 times over. Why didn't you done it like 3 times over? There's a bunch of you listen to this every fucking week, and you're not hitting that fucking button. I'm not even at reviews yet. I'm talking about the star ratings. The minimalist, literally the least you could do.
Every week, I have to talk Brian off a ledge. He says, Zach, no one rates or reviews this podcast. I don't want to do it anymore. And I say, Brian, you got him, man. They'll come around. But no one's coming around.
They're not coming around. Zach's a fucking liar. He's a fucking liar. He believes in you. And I don't. I've stopped believing. Sorry, Journey. I'm done believing.
So anyway, The Dark Knight.
Yeah, good movie.
Nolan decides...
David Goyer's not back on screenplay. Sorry if you were going on a different train.
No.
There.
So I remember David Goyer having written outlines or something. Like he after Batman Begins, he's like, the next one's going to be the Joker, and then at the end of it, Harvey Dent is going to get acid thrown in his face, and then the next one after that is going to be about Two-Face. And then Nolan being like, shut the fuck up. Don't ever say shit like that again.
Goyer's not very good, is the thing. Now, granted, I do believe, like he broke both this story and Rises with Nolan. But
I think the version I could be wrong, but I think he broke the 2-movie version, and I think Nolan wisely was like, let's combine them.
Yeah.
Some people think probably not wisely, but
they're wrong and dumb. And I remember that I remember talking to someone who was like, yeah, the movie was good, but it was too long. It should have ended right when they revealed he was Two-Face. Like, you are dumb and bad. You're dumb and bad.
And that's what they do nowadays that everyone hates is like, oh, we're saving it for the next movie. Nolan was never like saving anything for the next movie.
Nolan never, and it drove me nuts at the time. I think I've talked about it. That like Batman, he wasn't thinking about Dark Knight till they were working on Dark Knight. He wasn't thinking about Rises till they worked on Rises. And
he wasn't even going to do Rises for a while.
Right. And, part of me was like, how can you not have like a 10 movie plan?
Right.
How can you, I feel like you're not taking Batman seriously enough.
No one's ever said that to Chris Nolan. You're not taking Batman seriously.
I wish I could explain to you I wish I could articulate my 17-year-old logic of what I thought this franchise was going to be. I definitely didn't think it was going to be a trilogy with an ending.
No, I don't think anyone did.
Good thing.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Which I guess you're right. We'll talk about it more that time. I guess I just thought this would be the next indefinite Batman franchise.
And, this movie has an ending that hints at that. It's like, we could do this forever. The Joker says that, and then he's going off into the night, to continue the battle. And if there was no Rises, that would be basically,
this is the perfect last Batman movie ever.
Right. And it doesn't resolve it, but it's kind of like the end of the beginning, right?
Yes.
Of Batman's journey. And you and I both love Rises, and we'll give plenty of kudos to it. But I do remember being bummed that, like, he's not going to make 10 of these.
Right. Is there a bit of Harvey Dent in this movie? Like, you can't just give up.
Yeah, you can't give in. Oh shit.
So why don't, unless there's anything else you want to go over, it's so much of like Batman Begins kind of coming over. There's not much more, and then there's no huge marketing like at the studio interference element. They just let Nolan make a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing to cover is not funny at all. Heath Ledger tragically passed away.
Right.
Like 6 months before the movie came out. He was done. Yeah. He had just finished all his stuff on the movie. like sound
Right.
and everything. So it was done, and he passed away, which is really sad. And
Really, really sad. And I
a lot of
remember,
people said a lot of really stupid shit about it.
yeah, I don't even want to humor it. Ghoulish. You
No.
know who you are. You know what we're talking about. Ghoulish.
Yes, ghoulish.
Just the Joker's a pretend character, and
Yeah.
Heath Ledger, a professional, knew that.
I mean, it's an extension of idiots who like want this to be taken seriously.
Right.
You know how serious the movie is?
Yeah. Fucking bad.
Boo. Boo.
While we're talking about Heath Ledger passing away, a stuntman also died tragically on this movie. I would like to find.
I forgot about that.
I would like to find his name, just to. But there's a large set piece in this action set piece, and just a freak car accident. It just went bad. Conway Wycliffe passed away while making the film. Just a freak accident. The movie is dedicated to both him and Heath Ledger.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah. So with that bummer note,
yeah, let's
get into this very fun popcorn movie.
Yeah.
So normally what we do is we pull up a wiki, we read a giant recap. We're not gonna do it this time. I couldn't find a good comprehensive one that's like good in the way that we like it. And we know this movie back and forth, and I think we can reconstruct it better. And I think that's going to be more natural. I just want to drink beer and talk about this great movie with my bud.
Yeah, there, and no question, you and I, from memory right now, without practicing, could do a better job than any wiki of recapping this movie we've seen 700 times.
And no pressure, no gauntlet just thrown down now that we have to do it. So this movie opens.
What happens again? No,
Yeah,
it opens like this.
We get a... We were joking about how, I mean, if that's not podcasting, if it's not just two white guys doing a dramatic recreation of The Dark Knight at each other. And then there's this scene where,
let's do this. I know why he calls himself the Joker. Those fucking guys. Sorry. Did you see the opening? So the opening sequence, famously shot on IMAX, was released in IMAX in December, like 6 months before the movie came out, in front of I Am Legend.
Yes, I did see that. I did. I completely forgot. I did. It was a weird thing of like, it's there, I need to see it, but I also didn't want to like spoil the movie, even like a moment of the movie. And I did. I went, I saw it. Like
that was my take, and I didn't see it because I was like, no, I just want to experience the fucking movie.
Yeah,
I don't want it spoiled.
Yeah,
but
I couldn't stop myself.
But anyone who makes the argument this is a gritty crime drama and not a pulpy comic movie, I give you this opening scene where these clown gangsters they sound straight out of the animated series.
They're fully overdubbed, and it's just like, yeah, the boss says there's money.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's like, that's a lot of money.
He thinks he can sit this out and still get a piece of the action, you know.
Yeah, it's some real Michael Mann naturalistic dialogue.
It's so good. It's great.
So this is famously, I would love to talk about Christopher Nolan and IMAX. This would be the beginning of Christopher Nolan's fascination with IMAX. There's a great video by Patrick Willems on YouTube about how IMAX turned Christopher Nolan into a visual filmmaker for the first time, and it made him a better filmmaker. And it's a hard, logic to argue against. I think
I mean, but also Nolan championed it. I mean,
right.
So many movies today are shot on IMAX cameras because of him.
Right.
Because of this movie.
And you know
it
what?
had never been used in a fictional movie before.
Big, heavy, expensive, loud. They're loud. Why are those guys 80-yard like that? Because the IMAX cameras are loud.
Yes, and at the time, you could only load certain amounts of film in them.
Right.
And people were like, telling him like, you can't do it. It can't be done. And he's like, they went to fucking Everest with these things. We can't.
Right. Right. We can't make a fucking Batman movie.
But I mean, they've since made changes to the camera, and now you can film a whole movie with them. But that's why this movie only has action sequences that are partially filmed in IMAX.
So, Oppenheimer, of course, the entire movie was shot in IMAX. I think it's like hundreds of pounds of film is the actual real. It's because of course this small courtroom, you basically comes up to a courtroom drama, needs to be cast on a fucking 15-story wall, and it looks amazing and it's incredible. And look at Cillian Murphy's fucking weird little face.
It's so effective.
It's so good. That was not the case for The Dark Knight, which, like you said, it was sequences, and even then only parts of sequences. If you saw The Dark Knight on IMAX, which a handful of our audience might have been too young to do, you would get the movie opens in full screen IMAX. And then you'd get a bit of a sequence, and then it would cut down to normal letterboxed, and then in the next shot would maybe open back up to it was almost like it
was jarring. It was jarring. I mean,
like William Castle gimmicky horror movies where it's like, put on your 3D glasses now. Whoa!
It was jarring when it was like that car chase. We're going in and out of it throughout the chase.
Yes.
Like there's parts where we're back to but it looks so fucking good. Oh my gosh, it looks so good.
Even when it's cut down later, like just whatever I watch it on HBO Max, it's formatted to fit or it was still in Letterboxd, so it was in Letterboxd the whole time. It didn't have the full IMAX ratio.
Oh, really? Interesting. On Blu-ray, it jumps between
correct
the full TV and then you get a little bit of black bar for the wider shots.
On HBO Max, it was a consistent black bar.
Oh, wow.
And even then, I'm not mad at it, TBH. And I think most people would be more put off by it than like appreciative.
Sure.
Of having the correct aspect ratios, so flipping back and forth. So like I can see that even when it's like clipped like that, the detail of the image on that gigantic fucking like that opening shot, even letterboxed, is still incredible. It looks phenomenal.
Or that other shot where we're right before his party, where we're kind of hovering through the skyscrapers toward his little penthouse.
Unbelievable. It's even the image in that opening scene, the interior of the bank on IMAX, even in the letterbox, the detail is so rich that I sound like the douchiest fucking podcast film bro right now, but it's
okay. It looks so good.
It looks so good. And that, our boy Wally, he's doing good work. He's doing real good work in this fucking movie, man. It's the jump up from Batman Begins, a movie that, as I was mentioning, like coming from Batman and Robin to Batman Begins, was suddenly like, whoa, this movie like looks really good. The Dark Knight blows Batman Begins in the absolute dust, just knocks it over, like steps on it. And it's a good looking movie.
It's kind of crazy how different this movie looks from Batman Begins. Not just in terms of quality, but they went with a very different color palette.
Yes.
And it's all the same people, but they consciously, I think, were like, this movie needs to be a lot different than
It's
what we did last year.
it's Batman Begins has a lot of the color palette, I think, is a huge thing. Batman Begins is a lot of like reds, browns, a lot of warmer colors. This movie's very cold
Yes.
blues, grays, and it's real good.
That
It's
is
real
that
good.
is the Heat influence there.
Yes.
The Michael Mann influence is in the visuals.
Yes. So these clowns rob this bank. They're, of course, basically taking one another out of like, I got to shoot that guy and then I get a bigger thing of the cut.
Right. As soon as someone does their allotted job, then they get killed by one of the other guys.
No one was putting that together.
No, yeah. Well, the one guy did. He thought he did at the end.
Right.
The guy who's like, I'm guessing the Joker told you to kill me now. No,
Yes.
I killed the bus driver.
Fuck. Oh, fuck. It's so good.
So they escape with the in the most absurd escape plan.
Yes.
Where the bus pulls out of the building, like drives through a wall and then joins a long line of buses. None of those other bus drivers like got on the radio and like, hey, bus just drove out of the bank.
Why did it drive out of the bank? And then everyone's like, who can tell? Some of these buses don't have, one bus doesn't have children on it. Who can tell?
Well, it's not like they were driving fast. It was traffic. There was a lot of traffic. I feel like you could have caught up to him.
Right. A school bus drove out of the bank. All right. We're coming right there through the traffic and we're going to look at all these buses.
So the first line you get from the Joker, you get, no, I killed the bus driver, but you get, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stranger, which I remember being like, He's so good. He's so good it works. But the line, I was like, I
have a little headcanon, if you will, and don't get me wrong, I think the motivations of this Joker, they're kept vague throughout them. Well, they're not, the motivations are not vague, but his backstory is certainly vague. But there's gotta be and this is useless speculation, totally beyond the point of the movie. I don't think this is a hidden meaning by any means. Sorry, YouTube. But there's definitely in Christopher Nolan's like militaristic universe, a militaristic version of Batman post 9/11. This is definitely like a vet, right? Who went a little fucking weird, right?
That is an online. I've heard that theory that the Joker is a war veteran who went a little cuckoo. I mean, that's a totally valid reading. It's as good an explanation as any. It
is, of course, speculating on it is nothing because it's so far beyond the point of the movie and the character and everything.
Right. I mean, I think Nolan would tell you that he's not even a real person. He's just like a force of nature that emerged.
Right. And I would agree. I would agree with that.
But he does later mention a busload of soldiers getting blown to bits, and there's pieces you can find to support that for sure.
I have a question about the makeup here. This was a choice. It's kind of, this movie is so ingrained in pop culture now, it's hard to remember. It was a weird choice that he's just clearly a man putting on clown makeup. Yes. In Batman lore, in the previous Batman movie we watched, Batman 1989, he falls into a pit of acid and his skin becomes bleached to look like that of a clown. And that is the general comic book interpretation. I remember being disappointed.
Oh, really?
That they did it wrong.
You know what? I might have been not disappointed, but kind of skeptical when I first saw that that's the way they were going.
Yeah.
But you can't do this mystery man from nowhere and do that, because then
You're absolutely right.
He fell into chemicals or whatever. The Joker was in the comics. He's always been somewhat of a mystery, but he fell into chemicals.
Right.
I mean, it is a masterstroke to have him have no origin story.
It's So good.
Yeah. It's like, how'd you get here? I'm just here to fuck with you, Batman. I mean, that's why he's the best villain. He literally exists just to troll the main character. That's his only goal.
Right. And it's fantastic. Obviously this is just the text of the movie. I'm not pulling out some nugget of wisdom on it. But there is something so fascinating to Batman is all about his little systems and his little rules and these little lines in the sand he draws to like make what he's doing okay. And the idea to introduce this character whose whole thing is like, that's stupid. And I'm going to show you that's stupid. Actually. You can't do that. That's not how this works.
This character going, you're full of shit, man. Yeah. You're so full of shit.
Right. And
I love the idea that the great villain, his greatest nemesis doesn't really want to hurt him.
Right.
Really. Like he wants to hurt people he loves or whatever, but he really just wants to fuck with him. He's not trying to kill him.
Right. I do, just thinking too, it's funny how it's the Joker's whole thing is like, you're full of shit, man. Like that's not a thing, man. And the movie does really push back on the Batman character here and like kind of goes like, yeah.
No, and that is ultimately for me what makes the movie so good is there's a lot of silly shit in it, but the thematic stuff is so strong and it is a consistent, like it's a full story. The thematic stuff comes around and we'll talk about it throughout. But I mean, Batman in his first scene in this is talking to Alfred and he's like, Alfred's like, know your limits. And he's like, Batman has no limits. And turns out he does.
Turns out.
Or does he?
Or it's
I mean the question is, how far are you willing to go for this thing, Batman? And can you do that and still be true to yourself and still be the hero?
Right. I was reading a interview with Christian Bale who was talking about how in his early Batman Begins conversations with Christopher Nolan, they started talking about how Batman isn't the interesting character in these movies. It's always the villain. The villain is the interesting one. And their mission statement was Batman will never be the boring one. And apparently during this movie, Christian Bale was like, hey, Chris, I'm feeling like the boring one.
Oh, that's funny. But I reject what a lot of people say. A lot of people I've heard say Harvey Dent is the protagonist of this movie, or it's the Joker's movie. It is Batman's movie. Batman is the one who has the arc, and he's in it way more than either of those two characters, especially the Joker. The Joker's in it a lot less than you think.
The Joker being the main character of this movie is a ridiculous thing to say or think. You were a ridiculous person if you've ever said that.
Yeah. But I do think this is a great Batman story. I mean, I wouldn't say he's interesting in the way that the Joker is, but he's the one with the moral dilemma.
Right. Everything here, the Joker and Harvey Dent, and I suppose this is an element in most good Batman movies, they exist to refract off of Batman.
Yes.
And to help exemplify Batman's moral dilemma and the what he's going through.
Yes.
Which is what a good superhero movie probably should be.
Sure, yeah. Okay. The Joker robs the place, and then we cut to the parking garage. The Scarecrow's doing a drug deal with the Chechen gangster guy, and then Batman shows up. Well, also, first the vigilantes, the sad little Batman vigilante imitators show up.
I distinctly remember that first shot of the little imitator, right? And just going like, I'm so excited for this movie and I'm processing it in like mega slow time, right? So this was a split second thing and just going, that isn't right. Why does he look lame and bad now?
and then Batman shows up, and right away, the action in this movie is 10 times better than the action in Batman Begins.
10 times.
I
Still
really
not
like this.
great.
There's parts that aren't great and parts that are great. I mean, but
Yes.
it's so much better. Especially the hand-to-hand stuff is much better.
Yes.
And I really like this opening little, he's on the side of the van, and although the suit somehow looks bulkier than it was in Batman Begins. Maybe that's because it's a plot point, so they're like not trying to hide how bulky it is.
Right. It's also possible this isn't the same suit. Like he'd made changes to like. It's feasible. Sure. He did bulk it up, and then was like, "Nah, this was a mistake. I got to be lighter." In the, I don't know.
It's crazy how bulky that suit is compared to the one he wears later in the movie, because it's huge. He looks massive in it.
Which it's also worth noting we commented on it. The suit is shot very specifically in Batman Begins. Yeah. We don't want to see him in too much motion because it doesn't look as good, and it doesn't look as good.
You see it. I think in this one scene where you have that suit, he's seen a lot more. Probably because it's a plot point that this thing is making me too slow. So
right. I
need to get in another suit. I remember when the movie came out, I got into an argument with a friend of mine. I was saying that Batman jumping on top of the van would not have stopped it, and he was saying it would have. By the way, I was right. It would not stop the van. Him landing on it, the van would keep going, and Batman would tumble off the roof.
Right. That's probably what would happen. Unless the person driving the van panicked at the loud thumping and then hit the brake.
Right. Unless he braked at the exact same time. Sure. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Huh? Fuck you.
I mean, look, what happens next? We get a lot of table setting stuff. We get the thematic stuff starts with Batman and Alfred. He's stitching him up.
Right. We also see, I think even like just before that scene, we get a sense of this is not supposed to take place too long after Batman Begins, but the effect is beginning to take place. We see the bat signal hit the sky, and we see the criminal element of Gotham be like, actually, maybe we're not going to do a drug deal right now because Batman maybe. Which is a cool little touch.
You got a better chance of winning the Powerball.
I think what's worth getting into now is we get introduced to, exactly. We're seeing the pieces hit the board. Harvey Dent, the DA, who everyone's kind of looking to of like, you're going to clean up the city legitimately.
Right, we get the opening with him in court where the guy tries to shoot him and he takes the gun away and he's heroic.
Right. He is in a relationship with Rachel Dawes right now. We also get reintroduced to Commissioner Gordon, who is has a heated's not the right word. There's drama there between him and Harvey Dent. Is that fair to say?
Harvey Dent, he came up through internal affairs, which is so he investigated cops. So cops don't like him.
Right.
And because he came up through internal affairs, he has a lot of questions about the people who are working for Gordon.
Right. There is they're talking about this mob, the mob money that's kind of going through the city, and how hard it is to touch these people. There's a scene here that I really like where Dent is basically like, I know you know the little fucking Batman guy. I know you fucking hang out with him. I know you two hang out. And he mentions the bat signal, and Gordon says something like, if you have a problem with malfunctioning city equipment, I think Matt Reeves as the Batman will play into that better, of the Batman just being Gordon's weird little friend.
Right, yeah. And the other cop's like, why do you fucking hang out with him?
Why don't you bring this fucking guy?
Yeah.
But there's a Batman still has in this movie a stature, a certain gravitas that he doesn't have in the Batman, which I enjoy.
So I do want to say that right after the bank robbery, we get in the bank vault. Gordon is in there with what's the female officer who betrays them?
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez. No, Ramirez.
Ramirez.
It was Ramirez. We've seen this movie way too many times.
Too many times.
So he's in the vault with her, and then Batman comes in. They have their little conversation, and then he looks away and turns around, and Batman's gone, which I understand is a trope you have to do in this movie, but where did he go?
Where did he go?
It's a bank vault.
Yeah.
There's one entrance. There's cops everywhere. I just want to see a shot from outside the bank vault with Batman just like sprinting past the cops. Like,
Jesse mentioned them a little bit last week, but at College Humor, we would post these Pete Holmes Batman videos, making fun of these movies a little bit and doing the Batman disappearing trick. And he's just hiding behind a little wall. Like,
yeah.
Are you back there? No. I'm sure those are around on YouTube somewhere. But speaking of Ramirez, I remember the internet kind of wishing this was Montoya, who began in the anime. Montoya would never. She would never.
Exactly. That's probably why they didn't, man. No, exactly. No. Montoya's good people.
Good people. Not in a million
I think
years.
Probably the why wasn't this Montoya was probably before it came out. And then it's like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Because Montoya wouldn't do that.
Wouldn't do that.
Those people who complained would have been more upset if she had been bad.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's not canon.
So are we getting to, I feel like we've set up all the pieces. That first Joker.
We get the character Mr. Reese, Coleman Reese. He's the like sniveling little accountant for Wayne Enterprises, and he's like complaining that Bruce Wayne is sleeping through his meeting or whatever.
And he's figured
Remember this
out,
motherfucker?
Yeah, he's figured out that he presents to Morgan Freeman like, I've figured it out. I figured out.
That's later in the movie, but we can talk about it now, which is he presents to him. Yeah. Did you think no one was going to know that all this shit that we built was used by Batman? Yeah. Which is a good point.
Which is I think the movie addresses a good point. But I also think Morgan Freeman brings up a good point.
I love that Morgan Freeman is so not worried about it. He doesn't even tell Batman. He doesn't even tell Bruce Wayne. There's a guy who knows. He's just like, dude, you're an idiot. Get out of here. Get out of my office. Oh, did you hear this? I remember at the time, my roommate was like, I think that guy's going to turn out to be the Riddler. And I was like,
oh, God, it's all coming back. Yep.
And he goes, yeah, because his name is Mr. Reese. Mysteries. Like mysteries. And I was like, I don't think that's what Nolan's doing, man.
Yeah, fucking squint and are drunk and are dumb.
Also, like, look around at the rest of the cast. Oscar winners with like 2 lines in this movie. If he was casting the Riddler, he would get someone else.
We all wanted Nolan so desperately to be doing what Marvel would then spend the next decade doing.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, oh my God, how incredible is it that he didn't,
Yes, thank you. Thank you, sir.
You say thank you to that beautiful man, that beautiful British man.
So it's interesting. We get the opening scene of Joker, and then we don't get Joker again for a little bit.
Can we talk about that opening scene of Joker?
It is the scene of the movie, probably. It's so good. People were standing up cheering in the theater practically.
So we see obviously the Joker earlier in the opening of the. Oh, got it. I know what you mean. I'm with you now in what you were saying. We see him in the opening, and then we don't see him for a while, and then he emerges here.
Yes.
We have this meeting of Gotham's underground here, the criminal element in their secret crime meeting. Because once again, this is a comic book movie,
right? Yeah, the gangsters are at a boardroom table in the back of a restaurant somewhere,
right? Right.
And it's like there's a Russian guy or Chechen guy, and then there's a Italian guy, and there's a black guy.
Right. The one of the guys here is Michael Jai White.
Spawn.
He was Spawn. He was also in a movie called Black Dynamite, which was a parody of like blaxploitation films. He's great. Michael Jai White is great. Pleasure to see him here.
He told on a podcast, he told a great story about filming this scene with Heath Ledger. First of all, he was like, they asked him about did the Joker playing him kill Heath Ledger? And he was like, no, that's bullshit. He was having the time of his life. That shit makes me crazy. So thank you, Michael Jai White. And then he told the story that Ledger came in full makeup and they did all of Michael Jai White and the other guys' shots. And then that was it for the day. And he was like, wait, aren't you going to get Heath Ledger's angles? And he's like, no. This is just for you guys. And he goes, take it from the guy who played Spawn. Hell no, I would never. Like that's amazing to go through all the makeup and stuff and do the performance when you're not being filmed. Like, just shows what a cool guy he was. So
yeah, for sure. God, so he appears. This is the first time we see him in the Joker costume, the purple suit, the full green hair, the smudged makeup. And he's introduced with, I remember always making a big deal, like the Joker laugh is very important. All right, relax. I'm 35 now. I don't care as much about it. It's a more subdued, sinister thing here.
The laugh he does to his first opening laugh is just knocks it out of the park, because I'm sure he knows. I'm sure the filmmakers, I'm sure they knew people were going to be like, I wonder what the laugh's going to be like.
Right.
And he's like making fun of the laugh. He's like, aha, he, oh. Like, it's just perfect.
Yes.
And I thought my jokes were bad. It just, what an entrance. What a fucking entrance.
Yes. So, and then we get the pencil scene.
That was where people were like cheering, where people just were like euphoric in the theater.
It was such a like moment, like fully like, holy shit, that for somebody that was probably there, like Danny DeVito biting the nose off the guy scene. I think they're interestingly comparable scenes. The whole thing is if you haven't seen the movie, I'd be shocked if you somehow have not seen this movie. But
no.
He whittles a pencil into the table, and then he's like, I'm going to make the pencil disappear. And then he slams the guy's head down into the pencil so that it goes into his eye. And I remember everyone talking about that movie. And then eventually my brother Patrick, who will be on next week to talk about Rises, didn't see this movie until I had it on Blu-ray. And that scene happened. And of course, like, it's a PG-13 movie. It's, it's all suggestion, right?
It's
like, there's
bloodless. This is a blood. Right. I don't think there's a drop of blood in this movie.
No. And Patrick just goes like, the way everyone was talking about that scene, I thought we were going to see him like drive the pencil into his eye. But no, man, it was so quick.
That wouldn't have been funny. It's funny. It's funny.
It's so funny. It's so funny. It's so
and it's
good.
funny. Like, no one reacts. Like, he sent that guy over, Gamble, Michael Jai White's character, sent that guy over to beat him up, and then he just smashes his face into a pencil, and everyone just says, stay seated, like, huh, all right. I guess it means business.
Yeah.
Let's hear him out. He killed one of our men with a pencil. Let's hear what he has to say.
So the general gist here of this scene of Joker's motivation in this scene is that, hey, the local crime underbelly, they've had a problem with Batman. I'll kill him for you.
Yeah.
Give me some money. I'll kill him for you.
And I love
It's
how
great. It's simple. It's pure.
The scene starts with their money launderer guy, Lau, like, I took the money, don't worry.
Right.
I took it to Hong Kong or whatever. I hid it. I'm going to Hong Kong. And Joker's like, no. They're going to catch this motherfucker. And then Lau's so scared of the Joker, he turns the TV off.
I believe at one point, the Joker refers to Lau just as the TV.
The television. As for the television so-called plan. He's on fire in this scene. I mean, he's on fire the whole movie, but this scene is so important, and he just fucking nails it, man. He just nails it.
There is towards the end of this scene, there's a line here. And God, this could just be us saying lines of this movie at each other. Oh God. But there's a bit where they call Joker crazy.
Yeah.
And looks back, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not.
And that's like one of the few times in the movie where he is like almost vulnerable. Where he's like, don't fucking call me crazy because I'm not. You're crazy. I'm not crazy. You guys. That's his whole mantra, right?
Yes.
The world is fucking crazy. It's not me.
These little windows into this guy's deal. It's like every morsel is precious, you know?
And that's the other great part about the characters. He's so funny, and you kind of like, he's almost likable, but then he can, on a dime, become scary.
Right.
And really scary. I mean, I'm thinking of the scene with the pretty disturbing hostage video of him killing the imposter Batman.
Yes.
And he just like, look at me. I remember being chilled by that.
Oh, wildly good. So a Ledger allegedly in his prep was not interested. It made no effort to humanize the Joker to himself, which feels like a reverse of anyone playing a villain in a movie.
Right. Yeah.
Like almost as if this is me now taking guesses, but it seemed like even he didn't want to get to the bottom of this character's deal.
No, and I mean Nolan was clear about that even to the press. It's like, this is a force of nature. This is not a person. This is an element.
Right. I feel like a lot of actors would have gone in a different direction though. You know, would have tried to be like, I have a story for him in my brain, and now I'm making it make sense. And Ledger apparently wasn't interested in doing that.
I remember in the run up to the movie, before we heard the Joker's voice, you know, he was in an interview talking about, like, he locked himself in a hotel room for a few weeks, like trying to come up with the voice. Like, what am I going to do for the voice?
Right.
And he came up with, it seems to be influenced by like old timey gangster movies.
Yes.
Yeah, why don't we chop you up and feed you to pooches?
Yes, very much so. Yes.
Oh man,
it's I will say, Ledger famously now has made Jared Leto very annoying. Not Jared Leto was obviously already annoying, but like Jared Leto was crazy on set because of Suicide Squad, because Heath Ledger,
a movie he's in for 7 minutes approximately.
Right. But you know, Ledger, I believe, went pretty, for lack of a better word, method on the movie. But that just seems to me less coming from like an obnoxious, like douchey stance, and more like that's probably hard to get in and out of. And once you're in it, you got to kind of stay in it. You know what I mean? Like a real actor. I don't know.
Shortly before that scene, we get the scene where Bruce Wayne and his ballerina run into Harvey Dent and Rachel Dawes, number 2, at a fancy restaurant, which Bruce Wayne owns. It's a fun little scene. But then we get the theme again. You know, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Obviously, Batman don't want to do this forever, you know?
Right. Did you read...
go ahead.
Only just recently, Chris Nolan was talking about that line. And he was saying his brother, Jonathan Nolan, who also has a screenwriting credit on the movie, he wrote that line. And Nolan was like, I don't get it. I don't. Is this a thing? Is this like a phrase? I don't. Is this anything? And Jonathan Nolan was the one like, no, this is the whole thing we're doing.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's the movie. That's the whole
and Nolan was talking about it in reference to like most of my movies kind of come to that. Like, it's very like, especially in reference to like Oppenheimer.
That's so funny.
But it's like, yeah, that's the movie.
That's what we're doing. Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting.
That is really funny. I like this scene where the ballerina jokes that like maybe Harvey Dent is the Batman, the Cape Crusader. And he's like, I think someone would notice me being gone at night. And also you have the most recognizable chin.
Just the biggest butt chin. Like
everyone would know it was you, buddy.
She holds like a piece of paper over his face so you can only see the chin, and like the only answer is like, no, that's not it.
No, it's not him. No, he doesn't have a butt
Which,
chin.
to be fair, I always push back a little bit on like, how do they not know it's Bruce Wayne? And I get it when you see Christian Bale's like little mouth pushed through that fucking,
I mean,
just a fucking Play-Doh. Like,
I'm assuming we don't have good pictures of Batman though.
No,
right? Like,
no. I think
he's not
it's
out there like Superman posing with cats and trees and shit. Like,
right. I always like it. My preferred Batman thing is like, there are people in Gotham City who like, there is no Batman. Like, come on, this is a made up thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's my personal preferred. Most people, if you're not Jim Gordon, who see Batman, are getting punched to death by Batman. Not to death.
Right. Yeah. You're not looking at the chin.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So Gordon and Harvey Dent ask him to, okay, I don't know that you're a rich billionaire, but I'm guessing you can fly to Hong Kong and kidnap this guy Lau and bring him back so we can get him to testify against the mobsters. And Batman's like, yeah, all right, fine, I'll do that. So
I can't do that. Why would you think I would be able to do that? I'm gonna, but like, why would you think I would have the resources to do that?
He basically, for cover, he absconds with the entire ballet troupe or whatever on his yacht, and then a plane flown by, we're told, South Korean smugglers lands, picks him up, and then does the whole skyhook thing. I just like the idea of Bruce Wayne being like, hi, South Korean smugglers, please don't tell anyone I'm Batman.
Yeah, right.
Don't come down here in the hangar for the next 30 minutes. Okay? I'm changing. I'll be naked. You don't want to see it.
Probably make that happen. A rich man, South Korean smugglers, a wad of bills. Don't come back here.
But they gotta fly the skyhook thing over the building at the right time. He's like, I worked it all out. You don't have to do anything. You just press this button and don't look. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm not going to do anything sketchy. Just trust me. Wait, you weren't on the plane and then you were suddenly.
I never left the plane.
And you had a guy with you.
No.
Tied up and shit.
Nope. Don't think so. South Korean smugglers. Money talks.
I mean, the motto, the tagline of this movie should have been "Don't ask questions."
Don't ask questions.
Don't ask questions about the plot. Don't do that.
I mean, I'll say this. That's the first time I've ever thought about it. In 15 years of this movie, I've never... So I can't fridge door it now, you know? I can't.
That scene is pretty cool in Hong Kong, the gliding. He jumps off the building.
That is a very James Bond scene. Nolan has always...
Yes.
Nolan is a professed James Bond fan. I kind of don't want to see him do one. I feel like these are his James Bond like movies. Yep. I don't know what his James Bond movies would look like that aren't just the Batman movies. This is a James Bond set piece, and I mean that in a very good way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not a very Batman-y set piece. It's just a totally... I mean, except for the gliding, but it's just like James Bond. I mean, it's a James Bond thing, right? It's perfect.
Right. Right.
fun. And it's fun. It's fun.
It's fun.
It looks gorgeous. The IMAX when he's gliding.
Looks incredible in IMAX. I'm gonna have you guide through this rather than try to. You have it so I'm like, yeah, I know how it all goes. You have it so much. You have it down so much better than I do.
Well,
I'm looking at the Wikipedia.
I'm
looking at the Wikipedia and I'm like, fuck, you went so deep on something.
Well,
fuck.
I took notes, and this is the least amount of notes I've taken for any of these because I was just watching the movie.
Yeah.
But so then he gets back. They get back. They bring Lau back. He's going to testify. What do we get? Oh, then we get they arrest all the mobsters and all their henchmen. And then Harvey Dent is talking with the mayor. And then we get that big jump scare where the imposter Batman's body slams against the window.
Yes. There is a bit here where the mayor brings up a good point where, like, you can't just bring everybody in. You can't just arrest everybody. It's not like we can't fit all of them in the jails.
Right,
like, this was effectively useless. And, like, Jim Gordon didn't learn any of that when we bring all the cops beneath Gotham Stadium in the next movie.
Let's talk about it now. Jim Gordon, not good at his job in these movies.
Not good at all.
In this movie, he makes a lot of bad decisions. And, you know, that's before The Dark Knight Rises of it all. He seems to not know in either of these movies that you can divide these resources into multiple jobs. Like,
and in fact, should.
When there's the hospital. So later in the movie, Maroni is like, "Hey, I know where the Joker's going to be. This has gone crazy. Go get him. He's going to be here this afternoon." So Gordon is preparing with all the cops to go get the Joker. And then on TV, the Joker threatens to blow up a hospital. And Gordon's like, all right, I guess all of us are going to the hospital now. Yeah. I can't send a couple units to go get the Joker.
No.
The guy who's causing all this. Gordon.
It's all or nothing with that. There's no like...
Okay.
All quarterbacks. No.
Yeah, so then we get the hostage tape, and then we get Bruce Wayne's party. The party has the great him being a douchebag. Nice slogan, Harvey. You know, his big moment where you look at the helicopter. He's got 2 ladies with him, 3 ladies, whatever it is.
There was there's a great line here of Harvey Dent talking to Alfred.
Yes.
He has a line of like, any crazy ex-boyfriends I should know about? You have no idea. That was all over the trailer. It's great. Michael Caine's great.
It's so good. Oh, no, we skipped over something huge. Sorry, listeners. I guess the wiki's better than us. We knew that.
It is.
We get the scene where the Joker kills Michael Jai White's gangster character. And
I was thinking about how good this scene is.
He tells him the origin story of how he got his scars. So I remember being in the theater and being like, hey, Nolan said there wasn't going to be an origin story. What is he doing here? And of course, he's just making shit up.
It's because when he gives it again, it's completely different. And which is like,
so
that
good.
Second time, it's just like, oh, fuck.
That is another one of the best scenes in the movie when he is telling the second origin story to Rachel.
Yes.
Because it's just the tension is building and building and building. Oh, I just love him in that room full of people. You know, he's like slapping people in the face and stuff and, you know, taking their drinks. You know, Harvey, you know him. You know Harvey. Where's Harvey? I love he kicked. So go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna pivot to talking about Bruce Wayne in this moment. Is that okay?
Let's talk about it. Yep.
Great. There's a great scene here. Bruce, of course, has to get away to go become Batman. We're in his like penthouse, and there's a bit where there's a couple like hooking up in a room, and then he goes and I was like, "Oh, thank God, you have a safe room." And then he just goes in without them,
which is a perfect. In there.
Yeah, it's a perfect Bruce Wayne move.
I love the Joker's henchman who thinks he's just a rich boy. He's like, "Hands up, pretty boy," and he just beats the shit out of him real quick.
Yes.
I always thought it was weird because, of course, we're cross-cutting between the party where Harvey Dent is proposing to Rachel, and then the judge getting into her car, and then the commissioner getting attacked. Like Gordon trying to save the commissioner. And I always thought it was weird. He cuts away for the proposal.
Is this a good spot to try to articulate? I've never quite managed it. There's something wrong here. And I think it's a career Nolan problem of where there's a lot going on. It's not being explained very well visually. So we have to cram in a lot of dialogue to kind of make it. And then upon a first, even second viewing, it's like, I still don't know what the fuck is happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in this movie, for sure.
Yeah.
I think he's gotten better at it, but yeah. Because it's like, he's like, them gunning for you makes me start to think about things like what you couldn't live without. Then it cuts to dun, 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 all this other shit going on. And it cuts back and he's like, so what's your answer? And you're like, what? We just left for the proposal? That's how little he gives a shit about that stuff.
Yeah, right. I don't know. There's just a consistent element of like, oh, and I gotta fit this in, and right over here, and then shit, and it's all, it's once again, it's kind of Fridge Door-esque in like it's all consistently compelling and it's moving, so you're not thinking about like, oh, I'm not retaining anything here that to set. I don't know where any of the pieces are on the board frequently in this movie.
Yes, I think that's something he's gotten much better at, but is. We don't know the geography, like the staging.
That's exactly it.
We have no idea. It's just quick. It's a lot of shots of people in places, but I don't have any context.
Yeah, but apply that to an entire scene, like just
yeah. But I always did love. I love when. He's like, well, I guess that's a no, but just tell me it's not Wayne. The guy's such a... And then Bruce Wayne sneaks up on him and puts him in a sleeper hold.
So good. It's incredible that if Zack Snyder had these problems, these kind of weird hiccups, we'd be tearing it apart. Like, this doesn't make any sense. But like, man, this movie, it's like, it's fine.
Good. Because it fucking works. So the Joker does his little monologue, and I love, she kicks him, she knees him in the nuts. And he's like, a little fighting you. I like that. And then Batman apparently just walked up and none of the henchmen said anything. He's just standing right there in the center of the party.
Yep.
You love me. Then Batman fights the Joker and his henchmen and like disarms a bunch of them. And there's 100 people at this party. No one else is like trying to rush to help.
Batman's got it. Where Batman's
here. We're good. The Joker got a little knife in his shoe. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Little From Russia with Love or whatever that's from. I've always wondered. So he drops Rachel. The Joker drops Rachel out the window. Batman dives out, saves her. They land on the car.
Very poor choice of words.
Yeah. They land on the car. He saves her. She's like, let's not do that again. And then it cuts to like the next day.
Yeah, right.
What?
Hold on.
No.
I don't know if I have a quip in me when I land on a car. I think it's more just like, ah! Ah!
Here's all the questions I have. How did the Joker and his henchmen get away?
Great question. Great question.
What did Batman and Rachel do after there's a group of people watching them on top of this car? Where did he go after that? Just ran away?
Did they not include just getting off the car, wiping the glass off?
No one follow me.
Anyway,
I'm not going into Wayne's house. And then what did they say to Harvey? What did they tell Harvey? He just like wakes up in a panic room or whatever. It's like, did I pass out? Did I faint? That's so embarrassing. Did I just faint at this party? No, one of the henchmen put you in a sleeper hole.
They got you. I'm not over it. Once again, just things you don't think about because this movie moves.
Right, exactly.
You don't have time to think about these things being silly because the movie's really good. But yeah, I'm just about Batman walking down the sidewalk, just like, don't look at me.
No.
I am the knight.
Stop taking pictures.
Social media should be awash with like this fucking guy.
Just like running, looking over his shoulder. I just want to know where he went. Where did he go? He can't go back in the building.
Yeah. To be clear, we are not saying the movie should answer these things.
No.
These are just little funny little goofs.
This is stuff you think about when you watch it 100 times. You're like, wait.
Right.
What happened here?
We have not pointed out plot holes in this movie. Fucking grow up.
There's a real Nietzsche line where Gordon is going to save the commissioner, or trying to, and he's like, "We think there's an attempt on your life," and the commissioner's like, "Well, you're unlikely to discover this for yourself. So let me just tell you, when you're a commissioner, blah 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 blah, you know."
Was it unlikely? I always thought it was likely.
No, I think he's saying no. You're unlikely.
Now that I hear it, I think you're right.
Yeah. He's like, you're certainly not going to take my job from me once I die in this scene.
Yeah, right. So what's going on here? The Joker is basically hitting these high profile targets.
Yes.
The Commissioner Loeb, who is named after Jeff Loeb of DC Comics, who I believe also has some Smallville characters named after him.
Yes. So, kills the judge, kills the commissioner, tries to kill Harvey, or at least wants it to seem like he's trying to kill Harvey. It's unclear.
Yes. The line that I have here on Wikipedia is the bosses accept the Joker's offer, and he kills high-profile targets involved in the trial, including the judge and the police commissioner. Although Gordon saves the mayor, the Joker threatens that his attack will continue until Batman reveals his identity.
So, I can't believe you resorted to checking the wiki. That's so embarrassing for us.
I know.
So then we get the Alfred monologue, the great Alfred monologue.
It's so good. One of the high points one of the many high points of the movie.
The Burma story, where he has to set Bruce Wayne straight a little bit. Like, you are assuming some things about this person. I don't think you get it.
Criminals aren't complicated, but
criminals aren't complicated, Alfred. And he says, this is a guy you don't understand. He tells a story about Burma, where there was the bandit stealing the jewels, tossing them away. And he says, some men aren't looking for money. Some men just want to watch the world burn. And it's so good the way he says, I just want to watch the world burn. It's so good. And the camera shows the video footage of the Joker, and then that comes in.
Yes.
and that leads us into the next scene. But I shared with you, I saw a Letterboxd review that was very critical of this scene. And they had made the point that because Alfred later in the movie reveals, Bruce Wayne's like, the bandit, did you catch him? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, how? We burnt down the forest. And the reviewer on Letterboxd was very critical. He's like, how can you say some men want to watch the world burn and you're burning the forest down? And I'm like, that's the text, buddy. That's the point.
Yeah. It's so
the whole point.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. He's burning. The only way that they could beat the guy trying to burn the world down was to burn the world down. That's the whole text, the whole thing.
It's the movie. It's the whole thing the movie's doing. So there is, I think, a contingent of the internet, a very, very, very far left, that is reading Christopher Nolan, maybe these three movies very specifically, through a post 9/11 war hawk lens.
Right.
That I think, don't get me wrong, I think there's elements of these movies that are of their time, but I also think there's a frequent, worst fucking bad faith lens of viewing the movie. And there's more, the movie addresses more of that than sometimes people give it credit for. Exactly that of no, that's exactly what the movie's right.
The movie's
no, you're right. British colonialism was bad. You're right.
Of course.
But it happened, and here we are.
But the whole point is the movie is all about how far do you have to go to stop bad people, and how far is too far, and what does that do to you and your morality?
Right. It's the whole thing. It's the whole question of the movie. And
the only way we could stop the bandit was to burn the forest down.
Right. And this movie, here's where I think it makes people uncomfortable, is there isn't a tidy, morally sufficient answer. I don't think Batman necessarily pulls it all out and pulls the hat trick and makes it all work. I think he's morally compromised at the end of this, and it's difficult.
It's incredibly mixed bag of an ending morally. Right. I mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but let's talk about it now. On the one hand, he wins in that the Joker does not defeat the soul of Gotham, right? He doesn't destroy Gotham and bring them down. But he loses in that he does end up killing. He kills Harvey Dent. Yeah.
And engages in several things that are people around him are like, that's not okay. We'll get into it later.
You shouldn't do that. Yeah. But I think people miss that a lot because he's tackling him off of a building that they don't consider that he's killing him or whatever. He kills him. He kills him. He decides, you know what? I'm not going to stand here and let this guy shoot a kid. Right. I'm going to murder him first.
It's you. And this is a complicated, it's not that complicated. I'm not having a fucking epiphany or anything, but I'm going to try my best to articulate this. There's something to introducing, a character has this logic, and okay, the interesting thing to do is to make him confront his logic.
Yes. Yeah.
And see what happens there. I do think there's a thing of Batman doesn't kill people, so he can't kill people in a movie. He can if it's interesting.
Right. Well, and I do love the whole first movie is I won't cross that line. That's what separates me. And in this movie, the forces of the world, and Alfred even is you have to cross that line and become what you don't want to be, a bad person. You have to be the bad guy sometimes. It's about compromise.
Right. It's we've spoken about Man of Steel on this show before. And that movie ends with Superman killing Zod. to save a family.
Right.
And people took issue with it. I'm sure we talked about this on the show. It was a long time ago. People took issue with it. Like, Superman wouldn't do that. Superman would find a way around it. But like, it is interesting. And I don't like that movie, to be clear. But it is interesting to like force these characters to really look at their ideals and see.
Yes,
Not
but
being that possible.
the difference is that movie was not about that.
I'm not comparing. Yeah.
No, I think it's a good comparison.
Yeah.
They threw that in at the end for like some seriousness or some intent, you know. And of course, Snyder films it in a way where he loves him breaking his neck. He's like, "Oh, this is sexy."
Yes.
And in this, you don't even see the death. He just tackles them, and then you see his body at the bottom. And Batman's like, "Yeah, fuck, I'm kind of bummed about it, but I had to do it."
Right.
But I mean, I don't know. I love it. I love that the point of the movie is Alfred saying, you know, your rule where you don't kill people is vanity. You want to look like a hero.
Right.
When really it's not about you looking like a hero. You know, if you actually want to be heroic, you don't necessarily look heroic.
Yeah. Fuck. This is a good fucking movie, man.
That's what I mean with the theme stuff. I think is really strong.
It's so strong. And there is, I mean, there's a reason why people think, a lot of people would say this is the best one. I don't know if this dethrones Batman Returns for me.
Not for me.
I don't know. But like,
I fucking love this movie. I
here.
can't tell you how much I love this movie, but
this is
Batman
a hell
Returns,
of a second place. You know, like,
Batman Returns has a deformed penguin man trying to murder all the children in Gotham. So, it's tough.
But for this to be a franchise is like maybe second best movie, maybe third.
Dude.
I'm excited to revisit Rises. Like,
I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. This is a franchise where like 6, 7 movies someone could tell me are their favorite, and I would be like, okay, I get it.
I wouldn't at all think
Batman?
it's crazy.
So Batman 89, you can make an argument. Batman Returns, you can make an argument. Mask of the Phantasm, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises, Lego Batman, and The Batman. That's
all would be a spirited conversation. Like,
but none of those
absolutely.
are like, what?
None. Yeah.
That's your favorite?
Right. And honestly, even if someone was like Batman and Robin, Willie was on the show and he's like, Batman and Robin's the best one. It's like, you know what? I'm picking up what you're putting down. If that's what you're looking for. Great.
Yeah, exactly.
And then like for a certain people, like my dad would be like, no, Batman 66 is the best. That's the good one. Like everything else is just goofy. So what's the lone one? I mean, obviously like the Snyder stuff is meh.
It's the Snyder stuff.
Meh was generous. It's what Batman Forever is maybe the one like that's your favorite one.
Yeah, but even then I could see it. You know, Jim Carrey heads.
Yeah. Even that if I was at a bar and someone said Batman Forever was their favorite, like hell yeah.
I would be like, that's wild, but I love it.
Right.
And people have said Batman v Superman's their favorite, and that's the only one where I don't want to hang out with those. I don't want to hang out with those people.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
It's not actually your favorite. You're just trying to be different. You're just trying to upset
You're a dumb, bad liar. You're a dumb, bad liar, or you're 14 years old and you desperately want me to take this seriously, and I won't do it. I won't fucking do it. These are stupid.
Yeah, or you're 45 and you've never touched a woman before.
Don't call me out. I don't know if you I'm married, I have a child. I've touched a girl one time.
Let's take that out of context.
Yeah. I do wonder, we've talked a lot about being young and this movie coming out and like in a comic booky desert. How do you think we would have reacted to something like Batman v Superman had it come out then. I think even if I
don't want to
wasn't into it,
investigate that.
even if it wasn't, I probably would have been like, it's not good, but I probably would have watched it a bunch of times. It would have been
Here's the
compelling
thing.
to me.
The thing is, the problems with that movie, although I don't love its portrayal of Batman or whatever, or its vibe, the problem is that it's a bad movie.
It's a bad movie.
And I think we would have recognized that even in our youth. We would have been like, this isn't good.
Right.
So even if I was softer on the Batman stuff and the Superman stuff than I was when I really saw it, I still think I would have been like, this is nothing. What is going on? What?
Right. Yeah. I don't know.
That's
I don't
a question
think
when we review that movie.
You're right. We're getting ahead of our. Oh, right. We have to watch those fucking movies.
We're so close to having to watch them, Brian.
I don't want
it seems so far away for so long.
I don't want to do it, Zach. I don't want to watch them.
It was so far away.
So Pat's doing Dark Knight Rises and Batman v Superman. One movie he loves. Pat would say Dark Knight Rises is the only good one of the three. Of the three Nolan ones.
He's in for a rude awakening with Batman v Superman. I just can't wait for that. Okay.
All right.
Nolan, in the lead up to this movie, made a big hubbub about, this is the first time we're really going to see Batman as a detective. And when you see the movie, that's literally a 5-minute sequence of him taking a bullet out of a wall and doing something I still don't understand to find the fingerprints on a shattered bullet. Question, Brian.
Also, he's a detective in the animated series all the time. All the time.
Would the newspaper publish an obituary for the mayor if he wasn't really dead? The Joker,
if they thought he was dead.
No, but this is the night before they find those bodies, right? The Harvey and Dent,
right?
And Gordon looks at these like, oh, he's publishing who his next target is in tomorrow's paper, and it's an obituary of the mayor. What newspaper is running that?
I'm thinking back to like Zodiac killings, and like surely newspapers sold because of like Zodiac.
Oh yeah,
things
maybe
I can do. I'm not saying it's not gymnastics, but like I can get there.
In this sequence where he's doing the gun testing or whatever, and we're building up towards the parade, that's when Mr. Reese, the Riddler, that's when he confronts Morgan Freeman about, what are you building for him this time?
So much later than I thought.
A rocket ship? And Morgan Freeman should be like, no, that rocket ship is for Mr. Freeze.
That's for Mr. Freeze, and it's after a vague diamond heist to get away from the museum. Also, it works as a tank. I think the tank and the rocket ship were... I do not quite understand the geography of that scene.
Lucius Fox really should have cleaned out the archives at Wayne. I mean, they're leaving way too much of a paper trail.
Yeah.
Later, when Batman is deciding to turn himself in, he's burning files. Why are you keeping files?
Don't have files. You're Batman.
It's like when Nixon recorded all his conversations of himself. Okay, let's speed through this. There's the parade. The Joker attacks, shoots at the mayor, but Gordon gets in front of it and dies. Dun, dun, dun.
Did this get you at all?
I don't think so.
I was fully sitting there, like, kind of mad at the movie for like 15-20 minutes of like, not mad, but like a little like, well, maybe they fucking just killed Gordon.
It's just there was not enough fanfare.
It felt
I don't know.
weird. It felt weird. And that's the thing where I'm sitting there in the movie and I just hear through dialogue Gordon's dead. And I'm like, Gordon's fucking dead? And,
I certainly wasn't like, oh, he's gonna show up here, and I just kind of forgot about it. But I don't think I was like, I don't know. It seemed fishy.
I clocked they killed Gordon and was like, I need answers soon on what the fuck is happening here. Which I guess there's a larger question. I know we meant to speed through this, but I guess there's a larger question of like, does a movie have to work on its first viewing? If it takes a couple times to like really put all the pieces together, does the movie work?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know if there's an answer to that, but
if you're rewatching it, it must be good enough for you to rewatch.
It must be, right?
Yeah. Okay. Brian, loophole corner.
Here we go.
How did Gordon fake his death?
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 Without looping in anyone, seemingly,
and
his
anyone?
Own wife did. His own.
But he
could have told his wife.
I feel like my wife would fucking just know. Of like, that bitch ain't dead.
Like, obviously, there has to be one other person who knows he's not really dead, right? There's
especially
at least
if
one
like
person.
He's going to be in the convoy.
Sure. Yes. I think
How the
there's
fuck
at
did
least
he get into the convoy?
There's at least 2 or 3 people that know, and if there's that many people, one of them could get a note to your wife. Hey, he ain't really dead.
He really
Don't
dead.
shoot yourself. Don't tell the kids.
Don't do anything crazy.
That. Oh, by the way, we talked last episode about how he's totally uninterested in any of the women characters.
Yes.
You don't even get to see his daughter's face.
No.
His son?
Hugely in this. Yeah.
When Harvey Dent is like threatening to kill his family, he only cares about the son. Yep. Gordon is like, no, don't shoot my son. I don't care about the girl.
If Harvey Dent had the baby girl, he'd be like, did I have one of those? Fuck.
Okay.
All right,
fakes his death. That's when Batman goes to the. I love Batman goes to the club and beats up all the dudes, and then drops Maroni from a building.
Eric Roberts.
This height wouldn't kill me. I'm counting on it. And then
that felt so hardcore at the time. That was like, oh fuck yeah, this movie's for real. This is a movie for grown-ups. It's not for kids. It's not for kids anymore. This is Batman for grown-ups.
And then Eric Roberts like basically guilt trips him like, hey, you know what you have to do. You have to reveal who you are, and then the Joker will stop.
Right.
Which obviously, no, I don't buy Batman ever revealing who he is, because he knows the Joker's not going to stop. So we get the scene with Harvey Dent where he's interrogating the sort of Joker's lunatic in the ambulance. And this is my whole problem with the Harvey Dent transformation, is that I never buy him as having a dark side before he gets scarred. And I think you need that. Like in the animated series, they do a really good job of showing that this guy has a temper. And
in 40 minutes. In 40 minutes. It's 2 20-minute episodes.
Yeah, and he kind of has a split personality issue before he gets his life ruined. So that you're like, oh, this guy was on the edge and he snapped. And they try to accomplish that with this one little interrogation scene, but it doesn't come off to me like he has a dark side. It comes off like he's trying to scare this guy into giving information and he's upset. It's not like, oh, there's a real darkness here.
Right.
I don't know. I think it's partly the writing, and I think it's partly Eckhart doesn't sell me on that so much.
Yeah, my gut says like it's a script problem.
Right.
I don't get me wrong. I think Eckhart maybe could fix it up more, but like I do think it's a little underserved in the script. This turn,
It certainly is, because they've got so much they got to do. They got to go to Hong Kong. They got to do all this other shit.
Right. The patient here is David Dastmalchian. That is a terrible Dastmalchian. He is a fantastic actor.
He pops up a lot.
It pops up a lot. He is in a movie that is coming out in 2024 on Shudder. Emily and I saw it a couple of weeks ago. It is called Late Night with the Devil. And if you are a horror fan, and I'm not saying it's not a fucking prestige horror. I'm saying this is a good late night horror movie. Late Night with the Devil, when it shows up on Shudder, highly, highly, highly recommend for a fun midnight movie kind of time. It's the idea is that this like 60s late night show broadcast did a spooky thing. And it was their last broadcast, and this is that last broadcast. And man,
I've heard of that. I've heard of that one. I heard it's
good,
fun.
Goopy, spooky enough, real fun. Doesn't outstay its welcome. Any issues it has, like, hey man, it's 80 minutes. Like, highly recommend.
So Batman decides he's going to turn himself in. Alfred's like, hey, you know what you should do is not that. And you should just be a real hero instead. That'll come back later, obviously. He tells Rachel, he's like, hey, we can be together now. And she's like, they're not going to let us be together if you're in prison. Right. But she still like clearly wants to be with him. And then like a scene later, she's like, fuck that guy.
I think there's do you think she wants to? Do you think there's an element of like guilt here that she kind of said she wanted to?
I think what it's supposed to be is she is torn between the two. She loves Bruce Wayne and she wants to be with him, but then when he lets Harvey take the fall and Harvey's heroic and Batman and Bruce Wayne isn't because he's staying in the shadows, I think it's supposed to be that's when she's like, oh, I'm in love with Harvey. This guy will never stop being Batman.
Sure.
Which I don't... It doesn't totally work for me because she's like trying to talk him out of revealing he's Batman in the scene before that, and then all of a sudden she's like, why would he let Harvey take the fall? Like, maybe because he has a Batman, he has a tank, he can like protect him.
Right. He's actually probably...
He can do
He's more helpful
Batman.
here. Yeah, right. With this move, everything worked out pretty well here, and I don't. Like, this all makes sense. It's ultimately Rachel would require for this love triangle to really work. I think it would require, I don't know, giving Rachel more of a character and more. More of a story here, and Nolan, he's not interested in that.
We need to kill her so that Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne can be upset.
Okay? It's I've never seen a love interest die quicker, just of like, I'm bored of this.
Yeah.
Obviously so that's not the case, but
we get the transfer of Harvey Dent. They're transferring him, and there's a big convoy, and we get the epic centerpiece of the movie, the big car chase sequence, which I was always very confused by what was happening in that sequence spatially. I think there's some questionable camera angles, staging, and editing, and yet it is still so fucking exciting.
I think it's still one of the best set pieces in the entire franchise. It has all of the Nolan problems. It's so good.
It's still so good. Like, you can watch that in slow motion and be like, oh, none of this makes any sense spatially. What's going on?
I think that's ultimately it. It doesn't make sense. It's not that he's not communicating it. It doesn't work.
No. But you know what? In the big moments that count, they do work really well. Like the semi truck flipping is shot beautifully.
Yes.
The fucking the bat pod. I love that he has to destroy the Batmobile and it turns into the bat pod, and like he already knows how to drive the bat pod really fucking well right away.
Right,
no problem.
Right. You know, this is a tangential point, but it bothers me that Christopher Nolan gets, you obviously, like, film bros are like, Christopher Nolan is great and the best in the modern Martin Scorsese and yada yada yada, and
oh my gosh.
Fast and Furious still sometimes in certain circles still gets thrown down as a movie for dummies. Movies for dummies. Dumb people like those movies. You know what does not have a significantly more complicated action set pieces? You know who does not have a fucking problem making sure you know exactly where every piece is? Justin fucking Lin.
Sure. Yeah.
The dialogue, those movies are melodramatic. Yeah, the dialogue's a little fucking dumb. Every action set piece in those fucking movies is fucking immaculately directed. And hey, sorry, that's smart filmmaking. Sorry. And Nolan in 2008's The Dark Knight couldn't quite pull it off.
It is a testament, though, to all the talent involved, the cinematography, the music, even the directing and editing. It still works, even though it's nonsensical. It's still so fucking exciting.
Yes.
And Ledger's so good when he gets out of the flip truck and he like falls over, he stumbles, and then he does his like plays chicken with Batman, and he wants him to kill him so that he wins. He's like, if you kill me, I win.
I remember seeing this movie in theaters. This was probably the third, fourth time I saw it. And there were two young boys in front of me in the theater. And it's the bit of like, hit me. Come on, I want you to hit me. Hit me. And Bale on the Batpod screams and swerves out of the way. And one little boy leaned to the other and went, why didn't you just kill him? And the other little boy, because he's a good person.
Oh my gosh.
So good. I'll remember that for the rest of my life. So good.
I love it. The theme was not lost on them.
No, they got it. There's a bit here where Batman goes down and Joker goes to take off the mask, and the mask sparks. A clear, like, rigged booby trap for anyone coming to reveal his identity. And man, that's smart. No,
but what's great about it is it's not the Joker. It's one of his henchmen reaches and then gets shocked by it. And then the Joker laughs at him and like kicks him and spits on him. He thinks it's funny.
You're right. This Joker's not actually that interested.
And then Gordon pops up.
And here he is.
We talked arrest or whatever the fuck. Yeah. I'm really alive still. I don't know how, but don't worry about it.
I gotta tell my wife. So we covered that.
Yeah. So then we get the big scene in the interrogation room between the Joker and Batman sitting across the table from each other. That's the one where people were like, it's like heat. It's not. It's still not. But that's a great scene.
Really, really not. But yeah, I would... This is not taking favorite Batman movie, probably. This is certainly in the Hall of Fame of Batman scenes, period.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I'm fighting back the urge just to do lines of dialogue from the scene, but just watch it. It's really good.
Do 3. You have 3. Do it right now.
No, it's just too much pressure. But I love again, we're just hammering the theme home, right? He's going to make him choose. So he'll have to kill someone because whoever he doesn't choose to save, other person's going to die.
Harvey Dent and Rachel Dawes have been kidnapped. They're in buildings wired to explode. Just abandoned warehouses that
Joker sure. Yeah.
Just sure. But the
Depending
point
on
is,
the time, they could be one place or several.
Oh, that's such a good fucking line. And yeah, I'm only gonna give you one.
Yeah,
Which address do you want? Or
and
you can't save them both possibly in that period of time.
right. He doesn't know. They don't know that he is Rachel because no one called her to check in, I guess, until halfway through.
Right.
And, he's like, if you want to save one of them. It's so good.
It's we see Batman lose his cool in a big way. Where are they?
Yeah. And the Joker's just laughing.
Yeah, it's oh god, it's so good.
Did you know that that's the first scene they filmed?
Wow.
That's his first scene as the Joker. That scene.
Wow. Incredible.
Yeah. It's
Christian Bale, I remember in a interview around that time, saying like he and Ledger, this is where like kind of comes into like Ledger was having the time of his life, of like the two of them apparently just being like, can you believe this is our jobs? Like we're just like we're getting paid a lot of money to just pretend to be Batman and the Joker. Like
yeah, it must have been. Okay, so he rushes off to he thinks he's going to save Rachel, but the Joker, clever little guy, he switched the addresses. So Gordon is going after Rachel and Batman is going after Harvey.
Right.
And you know what?
Right.
I know that Harvey Dent is upset that he didn't go save the love of his life instead, but maybe don't struggle with Batman when he's trying to get you away from the explosives.
Like you can still, it's a great scene where Harvey and Rachel are communicating through some sort of radio device. They're able to communicate with one another, which was nice of the Joker to let them. But they are able to communicate, and there's a line where like they both know they're coming for Rachel.
Yes.
And Rachel tries to walk Harvey through how maybe he can get out of this himself, and then when Batman shows up with Harvey, and it's a great moment where Batman's clearly like, this isn't who I wanted.
Yeah.
And Aaron Eckhart, Harvey Dent immediately breaks into like, what are you doing for me? Oh, yeah, right, no. Yeah. And Maggie Gyllenhaal, this is where like she really does like do everything she's got with what she's got. It's a perfect A+ home run. Like, oh,
yeah.
Oh, I'm about to die.
Because she's saying all this romantic stuff, like, I don't want them to go for me. I want them to come rescue you. And then when she realizes it, there is such great acting of, oh fuck.
It's
and then like, okay, yes, I'm accepting it now. But there's that moment of, wait, what? I thought Batman was going to come save me.
Right.
And this is a good twist because I think everyone thinks he's going to go for Rachel and then Harvey's going to get blown up and that's why he becomes Two-Face.
Right.
But she gets blown up and he still becomes Two-Face because he's struggled against Batman for some reason and didn't just like...
She shouldn't have done that.
She's not in that room, buddy,
All your fault. Entirely your fault, my guy. Yeah, you're right. You may as well. Before this happens, Rachel gives Alfred a note.
Yes. Oh, yes. The note. Yes. What I love about this, so the note basically says, I'm choosing Harvey because you'll always have to be Batman because you're a weird, obsessive creep.
Right.
And I still love you, but there you go.
You're fucking weird.
And then after this tragedy, that's when Alfred's going to give him the note. He like comes in with his breakfast on a tray. Bruce Wayne's collapsed in a chair, just half out of his Batman suit, like crying. And Alfred's like, "I think I'll give you the note for me." No, she was gonna wait for me. Dent can't know.
He
can
can't
never
know.
And
then
to his credit, Alfred goes, "Hey, yoink."
But I love how
Oh, bad timing.
conspicuous. It's so conspicuous. She's like, and then Bruce Wayne's like, wait, what's going on with that note? And Alfred's like, don't worry about it. No, it's no big deal. But I love that Bruce Wayne just drops it. He's not like, no. What? Wait, what? You don't normally bring notes in.
I don't know. It's something. It's something.
I like that Alfred at some point thought, this will cheer him up. If he finds out that she was going to leave him.
Yeah. No, she wasn't that into it. Don't worry.
So this is where we, of course, get the great, we burnt the forest down. And this is where the movie has an abnormal structure because, and it's not a problem, but normally your character's low point will come at the end of the second act leading into the final act. In this movie, this is Batman's low point. And then we get a whole other act with this hospital business. Yeah. And then we get the final act. So it is different.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. And you can kind of feel it in there. Yes. I think a lot of people who like, I love this movie. I've seen it so many fucking times. But a lot of people who are like, oh my God, it's so long. It has the typical like crescendo and then, I don't know, music.
No, yeah, it's got that is normally would lead us into the finale. But instead we get this half-hour sequence, where because we got to see Harvey Dent become Two-Face, right?
Right. It is messy. This movie's kind of messy. It's not immaculately
It's happening so quick.
Right. I think you're absolutely right that the pacing of it absolutely neutralizes the messy script or plotting of the script, if not the script itself, if there's a difference there.
Okay, so this Joker threatens to blow up the hospital so that he can get into Harvey Dent. This scene with the Joker talking to Harvey Dent in the hospital is the closest the Nolan movies ever get to the 60s TV show.
It's the Joker is dressed as a nurse.
Yeah, well, and it's like the two villains talking to each other.
Yes.
We don't get a lot of that in these movies.
There's Aaron Eckhart recently was talking about Heath Ledger in this movie and filming this scene specifically. And Ledger was doing kind of a method thing on set. And he was talking about how, they were setting up, we're all talking about it, and Ledger was just sort of like pacing the set, mumbling to himself. Which great. Once again, I don't think physically broke him. I just think you have to get into it, and it's hard to get into it when you're, or it's hard to get back into it once you've gotten out of it. Which is it's hard. Method acting, I think, gets a weird, it was like, it's the real way to act. And I was like, actually, you're kind of always more likely being annoying. But I also understand in a role like this, needing to stay in it. Anyway, that's my thought on that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, as long as you're not being a dick about it.
Don't be a dick about it. That said, there is the famous, was it Hoffman running a couple of laps to look tired, and then Laurence Olivier just going like, my dear boy, have you tried acting?
No. He stayed up all night the night before, so he would look tired during his torture scene, and he told that to Laurence Olivier. And then Laurence Olivier was like, yeah, why don't you just try acting?
Yeah.
You fucking idiot.
Got it. And I can see it.
And
different.
Maybe Dustin Hoffman owed him an apology, kind of like we owe maybe some of our listeners an apology for being a little bit harsh on him earlier with the rate, review, and subscribe.
I do. they listen to us talking about, hey, it's been like 2 hours. I think we've vlogged a lot of time. 2+ talking about Dark Knight. It's so nice that they come and hang out with us every week and humor us as we just
love to have them.
To have them
spew nonsense.
But if they were enjoying it that much,
right? This is kind of a half apology. Like, sorry for being harsh on you, but you were wrong.
Maybe we both have things to apologize for. Maybe we both have ways that we can get better. We could not blow up on our listeners for not rating
Should we
and
have a
reviewing the
number
podcast.
of reviews that we promise our listeners if we reach, we'll stop bothering them so many times about this? Because we're just going to go more and more. I've done this before,
and then we never hit it, and it was really embarrassing.
Well, that's the fault of the people not reviewing us.
That's it.
They have to be good reviews. Okay, that doesn't count. If you say, well, these guys all they do is ask us to review.
Doesn't count. I'm not even on reviews. I'm on ratings, man. You've now heard this 3 times. 3 times. If you're sitting there going, nah, you're making the active choice to go, nah. And hey, you know what? I blew up earlier. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but we all have room for improvement.
Okay. Yes, that's big
and
of
you
you.
could rate the podcast that you're listening to right now. In just the app you're listening to, just pull your phone out.
Okay, stop. You apologized. It was good. We were good.
You're right.
Back to the movie.
You're right. I'm good. We're good. Back to the movie.
The Joker basically convinces Harvey Dent not to kill him, but instead to flip a coin or whatever. I don't know. Harvey Dent he had to have his face burn off. He's losing it.
Yeah.
Joker blows up the hospital.
I remember the reveal of the Two-Face face. It still looks good in the year of our Lord 2024, despite the fact of being heavily digital.
Oh yeah.
If not all digital, I don't quite actually know.
I think it is all digital.
Still looks great.
It's fantastic.
Looks better than anything in a Marvel movie, I think.
Yeah, for sure, because they don't do more than they can with it, right? They don't bite off more than they can chew.
Right. I remember some people saying though, like, he would be dead. You can't. He's only alive for like 12 more hours.
Yeah, that's why you got to kill him. Yeah, because in the Nolan world, he would not survive.
No.
I mean,
no.
Acid makes more sense. You can live and just have a fucked up face.
Right.
Which is what it is in the comics, right?
Right.
Do you buy all these people in the city trying to kill this random guy because the Joker's threatening to blow up a hospital if they don't?
No, I guess not.
It's like
I haven't thought about it, but no.
Not in real life. In a comic, it's a perfectly good comic book.
Yeah.
It fits. I don't think in real life people would be taking shots at someone.
I don't think so. So this is basically the Joker is like this guy Reese is on TV.
Anthony Michael Hall's show.
Right. And he's going to reveal who Batman is. And that's going to stop all the madness. And it's so good. And this is such a good character moment for the Joker. The Joker calls into the show and is like, actually, that's fucking boring. Kill this guy instead.
I changed my mind. Yeah. I changed
Batman's
my mind.
fun. I don't want to do it this way. Kill this guy or I'm going to blow up a hospital. It's
that's why he's a beloved character,
right? It's wildly good. That said, oh man, this is one of those scenes where just the geography doesn't make sense. It's the information isn't communicated maybe as well as it could have been. I don't know how I would do it better, but so we have to cram stuff in with dialogue. And It's not great. I remember my parents being like asking me like, what the fuck was up with that scene? And me just being like, I don't know. It was just good. Shut up.
I do like the. Go ahead.
I lost it.
Oh, well, I ruined that. Sorry. I do
Wasn't
like the moment where Gordon sees Bruce Wayne and is like, "That's a brave thing you did. Try to catch the light." You know, that's
Bruce. Basically, someone's going to try to ram the truck. That's where I think a lot of the communication comes in. Of like, Gordon is in the truck with Reese. Finds out that a cop in the truck has a wife in the hospital, and so the
it's
cop
very
in
confusing.
the truck, might try to kill Reese, and then
because
Bruce also
Wayne
finds it out.
Well, he's the one who tells him. He calls Alfred. And he's working with Alfred over the phone, and Alfred's like cross-referencing to see which cops have people in the hospital, relatives, and whatever. And then Alfred texts Gordon, apparently from a burner phone or whatever. It's like Gordon's like, oh, this random person, Batman's texting me.
It doesn't read. It does not read. It's all moving so fast, and there's so much information to cram. And then when you string it all out, it doesn't really make sense. Like you just did. Like it all doesn't work.
I'm pretty sure the first time I saw it, until Batman actually hits the truck with his Lamborghini, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I was like, okay, okay, gotcha.
But then to kind of the point we've had, it all moves so fast that kind of who cares? Like,
right, exactly, yeah. But that does resolve the Coleman Reese storyline, because he sees that Bruce Wayne saved him. He's like, okay, I guess I won't turn you in.
Right. There is this element of, I think especially at the time, of like, Nolan is so smart, and if you're not keeping up, you're dumb, actually, and smart people can keep up with this. I'm like, no, he's not good at this part yet.
Yeah, not yet. Yeah, he gets better.
It's all working. It's working in spite of this.
Yes.
Not because of.
Right before this, we get another one of my favorite scenes, and that is the Joker burning all the money.
Great. Let's see how loyal a hungry dog really is.
Yeah. All you care about is money. I love when he says, this city, it deserves a better class of criminal, and I'm going to give it to him. That's just so good. Everything burns. Everything burns. And I was like, wait, no, everything freezes. That's the... Everything freezes. Everything burns. No. Everything freezes.
Put those two together.
Supercut. Yeah. Okay. Hospital blows up. They kidnap a bunch of patients. They don't know where Harvey Dent is because he's Two-Face now, Brian. Uh-oh. So Two-Face goes around.
Joker blows up the hospital, and that scene I feel like got a lot of attention because he improvised messing around with the thing. I'm like, yeah. Not to take away from Ledger's performance, but yeah, it was clearly like, yeah, come on out and like riff a little bit. It's not fucking incredible. Yeah, he knew the character and he fucking messed around a little bit. It's not amazing.
So we got Two-Face running around getting revenge on all the people, flipping his coin, blah, blah, blah. And then we get... I love that. Okay, so Lucius Fox is in his office, and his secretary is like, oh, security is reporting a break-in at R&D. And so he goes down... And Batman has his, cell phone invention or whatever. Why did he have to break into R&D? He's the owner of the company.
Great question. Because we need to fit in so much fucking information.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Beautiful, isn't it?
So this is his. We didn't talk about when he goes to Hong Kong and gets Lau, there's a bit of a scene where we learn about this super sonar technology. And then we, in the third act, he's taken it and he's turned it into this giant beacon, this essentially like Patriot Act beacon that images all of Gotham City.
I love how disgusted Lucius Fox is that he got it so that people's phones are listening to them. I'm like, buddy, whew.
Right.
Hopefully you didn't live long enough just to see that just become the norm.
I know. I also think in a tighter script, there's another beat here.
Right.
Am I wrong? I
love this. When you're finished, type in your name. I just like cut to Lucius Fox. Oh fuck! I typed in my name first. Is that is that going to be okay?
I tried to log in. Oh god, it's sparking. Oh no!
Like he couldn't just be like, "Hey, when you're done, if you type in your name, it'll destroy the whole thing. So don't worry.
Yeah,
there's no
Why not
problem.
just put a big red button?
But then the audience won't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I part of me, I don't know where the fuck you'd fit it, but part of me wishes there was another beat here of like this technology in the wrong hands would be weird and bad. I don't know. It doesn't quite have the impact I kind of wish it would.
We're throwing darts at the board of, he has to compromise. Is he going too far? We don't know.
It's such a big gravity moment that I wish there was more orbiting it. I don't know. And once again, this is stuff that only bothers me 15 years later.
Sure. Well, ultimately, the problem with it is that I don't know if it's a problem, but Nolan doesn't seem to have an opinion about it one way or the other. Right.
That is a great point. That is a great articulation.
Yeah. He's, it's just window dressing. I think he said as much. Yeah. This is the thing is, I think trying to find a political reading from these movies is a fool's errand because I don't think they have anything to say politically.
I think you're right. And I think that's why people can latch onto it so much because you really see anything in it that you want.
Yes.
Of a lot of imagery that was just common at the time because we were all feeling that at the time. So you can kind of Rorschach test it into. If you're really angry about this stuff, man, you can see it.
I mean, the next one is a field day with that shit because you got like the revolutionary stuff. You got the cops. I mean, there's all sorts of shit you can read into the next one.
And I think you're right. He's not thinking about it on that level.
No,
it's
I don't
just
think
imagery that you're Rorschach testing.
Well, I think he also is aware, like, oh, people will read into this. Like, this will be interesting for people to talk about, and just throws it in. But I don't think he has a real take on it.
I think, and like sometimes to this movie's credit, I think he just is asking interesting questions of Batman.
Sure.
And like, no, there's no good answer here. There's no good answer.
Right. And that's about all it's as much as you can ask from a comic book movie is to ask an interesting question.
Right. Oh God, please have one of these movies ask a fucking interesting question. Please.
Okay.
Did Watchmen not ask interesting enough questions from you, Zach?
The graphic novel did.
That's not what I'm talking about. You know this one. What I'm talking about.
The movie asked the question, how cool is it when people get punched slow motion?
Yeah.
And the answer was very cool.
Yeah. Patrick Wilson. It's the story goes that Patrick Wilson or Zack Snyder tried to like, hey, can we not do the thing where Patrick Wilson can't get a boner unless he's wearing the superhero costume? That's the whole point, Zachary. Go ahead.
But it's not cool.
It's not cool. Watchmen's not cool.
Okay. So let's do the ending. We get the Saw situation, the two boats. Again, this is another absurd comic booky. Let's put all the prisoners on the boat. Also,
This
they're
scene-
so concerned. They're
15 years later, I'm willing to not. This scene is not great.
They make such pain. They take such pains to show us that the National Guard is there searching the bridges, searching everything. Apparently, they didn't search the boat before they put all these fucking people on it, because
They didn't get to that.
there is in the bottom of the boat there is a bomb attached to 400 cans of gasoline, just in the barrels.
Once again, I'm not even. I didn't even think about all this stuff. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ.
I love all the extras who have like one line in this movie are so comic booky, over the top. Like, hey, that ain't right. That should be us on that boat.
It's also, so the idea here is, I believe, one boat has to blow up the other, or both boats will blow up.
Yes.
And I feel like this movie's from 2008. In 2024, both boats blow up at the same fucking time. Like,
just right away.
Like,
yeah.
Give me. I want to watch them blow up. me.
I think part of the problem with the sequence is that I want everyone on the boat to die. They're all just like so obnoxious.
Yes,
except for the prisoners. The prisoners, I'm like, you guys are fine. You're
right. The prisoner who's like, give it, like, you're a coward. Give it to me, and I'll do what you should have done.
Debo.
That
from Friday.
Yes, I was gonna mention Friday. A very good. That's great. It's a great bit. The idea, though, that the other boat of the non-prisoner people wouldn't just blow up that boat immediately is ludicrous. That is the most fantastical element of this fucking movie. The idea that the guy who looks like my uncle wouldn't just like excitedly blow up the fucking thing. It's like, let me do it.
Yeah. Well, he does say that, but then he can't go through with it.
That is the most literally, I believe Batman more than I believe.
And you do get I understand it more now after my 200th viewing, but you get the very confusing Batman sonar fight scene in the building.
Non-fucking sensical. So the idea is that these are the people that have been taken from the hospital, which was 20 minutes ago. And so, like, obviously, the doctors are the hostages. Or, sorry, the doctors are the terror. The clowns are the hostages. What the fuck are you talking about?
Right. So Batman has to beat up the SWAT team and the terrorist or the Joker's people. But it's all very confusing.
And then there's an element of, like, Gordon is being like, we have to save Dad. I have to save Dad.
Yeah.
And it's like, have you been having a whole arc? Have we been too busy for whatever this is?
I think he feels guilt because his people are dirty and killed him. But he's not going to feel guilt in a minute.
Sure.
He's not going to feel guilt in a minute.
Yeah. This scene's, but yeah, this building, this skyscraper scene is it's a mess. It's a mess. Once again, 15 years later, it bothers me more than it did at the time when I just thought it was incredible. But
it does lead to the wonderful final moment between Batman and the Joker. And here we go. And then he's disappointed. And then, do you want to know why how I got these scars? No. And then he shoots him with the batarang. What is it? The little grappling things.
Yeah. They come from like the gauntlet.
Yeah. And then, the greatness of him like laughing hysterically in glee as he thinks he's falling to his death.
Yes. Though I don't, which is a funny mirror of 1989, which is of course how the Joker dies.
Yes.
I also don't want to skip over the specific line of dialogue when the Joker realizes that the boats aren't going to blow themselves up. the line here of just outer fucking space, Bill.
Gotham City is full of people ready to believe in good.
It's
I wouldn't have.
no. He's playing accurate in that I just fought 30 people on 10 floors of this building, but it's so weird to hear him go, "This city just showed you, and it's full of people
Ready to believe in good.
It's been 30 stories. It's been a long couple of fucking days. I think your normal voice would have been fine, Bruce.
Until their spirit is broken completely." What did you do? But I mean, what a great final moment for Ledger.
Oh,
in
fantastic.
the movie.
This was not his final performance. But like, this is his final major blockbuster.
This was his final complete performance. He had filmed parts for another movie, and then ended up changing the story. That
was Terry Gilliam's The Cabinet of
the
Dr.
Imaginarium
Parnassus.
of Dr. Parnassus.
Yes, and that you're right.
Was like what Colin Farrell and Johnny Depp,
I believe,
took over for him.
Right. The idea was like that had a fantastical, and like as he went into different worlds, he became different people.
Right. Yeah.
Which I don't know. I have no idea if that movie works. I
can tell you it's not as good as this movie.
Yes. So while maybe not final shot we got, what an incredible ending for Ledger of just that.
Yeah.
Getting shot by fucking Wally fucking Feister, man.
Yep.
That's a way to go.
He pushes himself away and he's just laughing hysterically. So good. Okay. And then we get the real ending of the movie, which is Harvey Dent has taken Commissioner Gordon's wife and 2 children hostage, and Gordon shows up and he's like, "I blame you for this. I'm going to kill whoever you love the most." And he decides it's his 8-year-old child boy. I do not buy that for a second. Harvey Dent is going to shoot this kid. Now maybe that's in the text where he's really just bluffing, and then he's going to shoot Gordon. Like he's just trying to make him go through that pain first.
I don't think so. I don't think it's what we're meant to think. I think
No, I don't either. But
yeah.
I don't buy him killing a kid.
I agree. It's such a dramatic, like we're missing. It's for everything. Like this movie feels so overstuffed, and like we're missing things. You know.
Yes. Having said that,
and I
do
don't
think
the Goyer idea of like a 2-part thing was right either.
No. And I still think it's a very powerful scene.
It's so good. It's so good.
The tension just building and building. And I love Batman enters the scene. I've been talking a lot, so I don't know if I can do it. But you don't want to hurt the boy, Harvey.
There's some bits here of like Gary Oldman, giving his all to don't hurt the boy, don't punish the boy, punish me. And Aaron Eckhart, we've been roasting on him a little bit. He's maybe not one of the strong points of this movie, but he says I am. And it's a really good moment. It's a really good moment. Yeah, I'm about to. Yeah.
But what I don't like from him is when he's picking which one of them to kill. He's like, I think we have a winner. Like he's like enjoying it. I don't think that's in the text. He's supposed to be like, I have to do this because you know.
Right. There's also a bit where it all comes down to a certain showdown of like the 3 of them point the gun at the people responsible is what Batman says.
Right.
And so I think he flips the coin Gordon, and then he goes to himself. Like that don't make no sense, Harv.
Well, I'm being fair. If I kill myself, then the kid doesn't have to die.
Fair
You're
enough.
right. That is not the order to do that in if you want to get justice for all three.
Right.
Hey, if I have to kill myself, you're gonna flip for
You're gonna
yourself,
do it.
right?
You're gonna do it. Yes. Our powers.
If anything that I've shown in this movie, then I'm definitely committed to everything that I say.
And then Batman tackles his ass, and it's a great moment. And then Harvey Dent falls to his death. And then Batman falls pretty far, but I feel like he's had way further falls before.
It's a bad fall. And there's a bit he helps Gordon's son up, Gordon's nameless son, up. And then like he kind of his strength gives out and he falls.
He's had a long night.
He's had a bad night. And that kind of feeds into eventually people are coming. They're going to get the Batman who is kind of everything's getting pegged on. And
well, that's his choice. He wasn't going to, it's not like that would have happened automatically.
Right.
And here's this thing where it works thematically really well that he makes that choice.
Right.
Like, that's great, but it doesn't make no sense in reality of like, like people are going to be happier that Batman turned out to be a piece of shit than Harvey Dent.
Right. But like he's gonna take the heat to not ruin Gotham's perception of effectively Barack Obama is who Harvey Dent is supposed to be. White Barack Obama. I feel like that was very much played into it. But then we get this moment. Gordon gives this monologue about like how like, hey, they're gonna chase him because he can take it, and he's the hero we deserve. Or he's the hero we deserve, but not the one we need right now. As he's like moving away through the shipyard, and then he gets on the bat pod, and he's racing up, and then we get him as the cops and the dogs are chasing him. Boom, he gets up onto like the highway ramp, and boom, that's where you get a dark night, and then boom, we get the fucking Zimmer score, and
dun dun dun.
Zach, I'm like thinking to times I've been the happiest in my life, and make no mistake, marrying my wife is so high up there. The birth of my daughter is number one. I'm not at all questioning that. Sitting
Number
in the
3.
theater at the end of The Dark Knight, it's in the top 5. Probably at like 5, but it's on the list. Just full body, just like, yes.
Well, and it's just, this is where a lot of the kudos for the movie came from. Is it's a very mature ending for a comic book movie where he kind of wins and he kind of loses. It's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
He ends the movie on the run.
If it was the last Batman movie to ever get made, it'd be a good ending for Batman.
You can't have a better ending than that. It's pretty great. It's so good.
God, so I saw this movie a dozen times, just infinity times. I can't possibly keep track of how many times I saw this fucking movie. It made so much money.
Yeah, I think it's because people like you and me saw it. I saw it 7 times in the theater. Yeah.
And then we have to talk about, before we get out of here, its legacy is obviously like, we'll talk more about the legacy of this trilogy when we get to the last one. It has a direct sequel, so like it's not quite like some of the other ones. But what was I going to say? Oh, the Oscars.
Oh yeah.
So the Oscars come around, and this movie should we make fun of nerds all the time on this fucking show. Anytime anyone's like, so Spider-Man No Way Home should have been nominated for Best Picture, like this should have been, right?
Yes, 100%. It was The Reader was the one that was a stinker that only got nominated because the Weinsteins did their Oscar campaign bullshit for. And that was the one no one expected to get nominated and did. Everyone, it was on Dark Knight was on all the lists, all the predictions. It was not just geeks. It was just everyone was like, this movie. I don't think people thought it was going to win necessarily, but they're like, it needs to be. The nomination was the win.
It was unquestionably one of the best movies of the year.
Yes.
That's not a question.
I can't tell you how badly 22-year-old Zach wanted it, Brian.
I wanted it so bad. It was validation to like my dad. Like and I gotta say, I have not watched Slumdog Millionaire one that year. I have not seen Slumdog Millionaire since 2008.
No, I don't know. Yeah.
This movie I've come back to every couple of years. I watch The Dark Knight.
No, they blew it. They blew it. They usually do, though.
Name a movie from 2008. I say The Dark Knight.
Yes. It's yes. Yeah.
We didn't even talk about this is the first Batman movie without Batman in the title. That doesn't feel that interesting anymore, but was interesting at the time.
You know what we have to talk about really quick?
Yeah.
We were going to spend more time on this, but tie-in song corner, no tie-in song for this movie. We looked at pretty much all the songs that were hits in 2008. We came up with a couple possibilities. I think the Linkin Park one is the winner.
I don't remember the title.
Shadow of the Day or something.
That's it. It's R&B was really having a
will set for you. That one.
R&B was really having its moment on the charts. None of it really wouldn't be appropriate for this movie.
I do think One Republic's Apologize featuring Timbaland would have been a fantastic credit song for this.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's really not bad. Oh my God. This one, I don't know. This one was pretty epic in length. But this was the one that was going to deserve it. It was the longest Batman movie to this point.
Not the podcast the listeners wanted, but the one they deserved.
It's the one you fucking deserved. If you fucking rated this show, maybe you would have gotten a better one. Not two tired boys going like, yeah, this movie's pretty good, huh? Hey, we've been joking, but now dead serious. You're dead to me if you don't rate and review this podcast. Right,
they're turning the
now.
podcast off. It's too late in the game. They'll just turn it off if we start doing that shit right now.
I've made my fucking point. Zach, I'm not going through the rest of it. There's more, but fuck it. Zach, do you have a question for Batman?
Oh my gosh. Are you as tired as I am?